I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Naja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, I'm scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Van Gogh. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace my headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing you need endurance to go in. I got mileage on this pen, I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got bruised souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Who that soldier in the mirror? Oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture. These could be his shoes, or is that so? He is presumed to be barefoot at this point.
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here, coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Alfred.
Oi, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Judgment, Alfred.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a-running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here, coming at you with another raw narrative. And it's so good to see all of you guys tonight. Hey, there's some great energy in here tonight, you guys. Thanks so much for being here. I can feel it when you guys are in the chat, and so thank you so much. Hey Chuchi, good to see you. And thank you for hitting the like button, you guys. Thanks for ramping up the videos. I forget what it's called exactly, but boosting them. Hey Rosebud. You can add to this Kimberly Sullivan from Waterbury, Connecticut. Oh, she's the evil entity that held her autistic stepson in prison for 20 plus years. Oh my gosh, starving him and oh my gosh, started the house on fire to escape. He did. Oh my Lord. Oh, Rosebud, I have never heard of that story. That's terrible. Oh my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have to look into that story. Kimberly Sullivan. Okay. Hey, Jessica, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Hey, Cinderella, good to have you. And Mama, good to see you. And thank you for the green and blue hearts, guys. We're going to talk about Sebastian Rogers. We're going to go back into the interview with Smiley tonight. And so it's a part one. And I forgot this one's only going to be like 50 minutes long. But you can see it's an old video. But it's everything kind of in there, a little bit of commentary taken out, but not much. And so I want to go over that tonight as promised because we were um, kind of on track to keep going over the older interviews. So, um, thank you so much for being here, Jessica. I really appreciate you. And I know it's got to be hard. Boy, when I went over the Crime Time Buzz interview, I've gone over it a couple times before I started editing it and just listening in for some key indicators. Hey, GA64, thank you. We are Sebastian and Devlin's army. Yes, and I am still going to work on getting Devlin into the intro to where I kind of talk about it, like how we came about, right? How the Dragon Tribe was formed here. Um, but but yeah, because we are Devlin's Army. Today, I actually had a great phone call with one of the detectives. There's two detectives over in Ionia County. One is Heshi, the one that we talked about one night. I think it was a couple nights ago. Um, and he is one of the detectives, but there's another detective named Castle, and I spoke with Detective Castle today. She's a very, very nice, dedicated, in my opinion, um, police officer, and I'm going to share a little bit of an update. We all kind of know in true crime already that when there's an open and ongoing investigation, it can be frustrating as the public, right? Because we're the court of public opinion, right? And it can be frustrating when we're trying to get answers. Bonjour, Seclusion Works, good to see you. And, hey, Kiki, so good to have you here tonight. Thank you so much for being here. And Meow, good to see you. Um, but we know how frustrating that can be. And it's one of those things where it's difficult all around when you have a child that's missing, right? And I know Devlin is 19. He turned 19. He was 18 when he went missing, but right about to turn 19. But he also has different abilities like autism. He also has a rare chromosome deletion. And so those things can really factor into um, one trying to find him and, kind of putting ourselves in his shoes, right? Because those are the shoes. Thank you, Chuchi. You were on it, girl. Thank you so much. And those are the things that I worry about more is putting myself in Devlin's shoes, right? Not really the family shoes unless I'm trying to figure out what has happened, right? Because it's very strange. And I also spent a lot of time just talking with the detective and telling her the things that I've found out, right? So that was me more so talking than asking questions, but I also understand, hey Seth, good to have you. Thank you so much for being here. And there was some things that just were very reminiscent um, of dealing with the proud fee, and it's a really weird, uncanny feeling. But I did explain that a little bit, not wanting to take her time up at all, and I was very lucky, and she was very gracious to give me the time to talk with her, about Devlin. And we looked at the SAR maps. They were very well plotted out. We could see like who searched where, which dogs went where. Um, and we didn't have that, in my opinion, in Sebastian's case. We just kind of had the map that really a lot of us maybe just, I don't know. It looks like a really big mess. So, there was no um like indicators of what anything was. You can kind of see what, when they're going in a circular pattern, that's probably like an airplane, you can kind of see those little nuances on the map, but when they're labeled, it's so much better, and so much more easy to read and understand. So, hey, Kiki, good to see you. Thank you for being here. And CC, thank you. And GA64, I think I said hi to everybody here. Oh, hey, Ann Reynolds, good to see you. Thanks for being here, Miss Ann. And Jessica, that's sweet. Thank you. Jessica says, hey, Seth Rogers, I'm so sorry for what you're going through. My heart and prayers go out to you. The last 6 months have been a nightmare. I can't imagine going through it as long as you have. Jess, gosh. And that's the thing too. That I think I realized today, that I think, you know, everybody's pulling for these kids. And I think there's just got to be a break somewhere, right? And it's 2025. We got to get a break somewhere. We just have to. Hey, Tropical Paradise. Good to see you. Justice for all the missing. Prayers to Seth, Sebastian. We are their army. Thank you, Tropical Paradise. I really like your spider, even though I don't really like spiders, but that's really cool. Um, Oh, seclusion. I'm sending you prayers, hon. And Meow's here. Let me see. I'm just trying to make sure. Hey, me and you. Good to see you, Cinderella. Hey, Cinderella. Let's see. Who else do we have? I just wanted to say hi to everybody. I don't want to miss anyone. If I do, holler at me. Hey, Christmas Swan. Good to see you. Hey, Ava. Canadian True Crime is here. Good to see you. All right, guys. Well, let's get started tonight on this interview with Smiley Stories World. I love Smiley. She's great. And she's been sharing Devlin out too, because Smiley is just really great at advocacy and, putting the stories out there. And um, I just really like Smiley. She did such a wonderful job on this interview and dealing with these guys. Oh, bear with me. This is an I was an amateur when I made this. I'm still an amateur. Who am I kidding? I was a novice. That's what it is. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today is Thursday, April 11th, 2024, and this marks the 46th day that Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers has been missing from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. He was last seen by his mother, Katie, at 9 p.m. Sunday, February 25th, 2024, and Sebastian was reported missing at around 6:20 a.m. by Katie and Chris Proudfoot, Monday, February 26th, 2024. In this video, we are going to talk about Smiley Stories' impromptu interview with the Proudfoots. Chris Proudfoot raised his hand while Smiley was on a different live show and urged her to speak with him on her channel live. The live took place March 20th, 2024, 24 days after Sebastian was reported missing from the Proudfoots' residence. Before we get started, I had to add a little commentary from one of my favorite creators, J is for Justice podcast. She had Smiley on to talk about. I told you guys this is old. This is really old. And I told you I used to, thanks Kiki for dropping Smiley's link. I used to listen to Jay is for Justice. Imagine that. But I did, and she's gonna be on here with Smiley because Smiley's gonna tell the whole story about, how Chris got up on the panel and stuff. So here we go. The interview with the Proudfoots, April 7th, 2024. I just really want you to hear this from the horse's mouth, and then we'll get right into it.
You did a really good job. What was that like for you?
At first it was kind of scary because I was on another live and there was two other people up there. It was very unexpected. Katie or him, but it was under Katie's name, had came in that live. I asked if I could ask a question, and it was probably a rude question, but I asked it anyway. Chris says he's blunt. Well, I'm kind of blunt too. And I asked the question, and it pertained to did money and Social Security and stuff like that. I'm just like, I hope you told them or stopped if Sebastian was getting the check, at least put it on hold or something like that. And all of a sudden I was getting ring, 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 go live now, right now. And I'm like, oh my God, Chris is calling me on Messenger. And the other person said, well, they can come up here. And I'm like, and he's like, no, you're live right now. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, oh no, I really stepped in it. And I was kind of scared. I really was. He said, I did see your thing and I will come live on your chat sometime or whatever. But when I was on this live with these people, I never thought that he was going to pull me off of a live and do this impromptu like
So what do you think triggered him to wanna?
I think that if it was Katie, really, I think that he got mad about the money question because if it was her or him, they said, what money? And so anyway, I jumped down. He wanted the live right then. And I jumped down. I said, okay. And I just told him I had to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I'll finish my live. And when he was literally blowing up my phone when I got on live, I didn't have time to do the intro.
So he really wanted to get that out.
Yes, he did. And I think that's why he was mad. He come on there like this and was, I know that's what he was doing. Nobody's going to get on stage except for Chris Proudfoot. Chris told me he wanted to come on here. Hi.
Hello.
Okay. How are you feeling today?
Pretty terrible, to be honest with you. 24 days in, and there's a bunch of horrible things being said and a bunch of misinformation being spread, and my son is still missing. And so it's horrible. There's not a better word for it, to be honest with you.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to talk about Sebastian, or maybe we could just start there.
Yeah, I think Chris is still trying to join as well. A lot of people are accusatory when we speak.
Okay, guys, so she does not want to talk without Chris up there. So I know a lot of us were thinking in the beginning, like, why won't he let Katie talk? But when we look back on the interview, I can kind of see where she's just like, hey, I gotta wait for Chris to come up here. She could have had the opportunity to say whatever she wanted to right there. So we kind of got to know Katie, like the evolution of Katie, so to speak, all the different accents she was using, and biker Katie, we had, all the different Katies, but in this one, she's like, well, wait a second, wait for Chris to come up here.
Oh, it's a lie. Oh, it's not us. And
well,
the truth is no matter what any of y'all think, I didn't do anything to my son. My husband didn't do anything to my son. We love him dearly, and we are doing everything that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And his father loves him dearly as well.
I wouldn't want to.
Well, we know that Seth loves Sebastian, but Katie here, it's kind of tough, right? Because she's definitely on the defensive right off the bat, right? But Smiley's not being defensive with her, so to speak, at all. She's just kind of, hey, nobody take the link. Everybody be respectful. She tells everybody be respectful, y'all, about probably 20 times before she lets them up on the panel. So yeah. Did you hear the inflection in the word horrible? Yeah, she's like, it's horrible. It's horrible, but not talking about Sebastian's disappearance, in my opinion, and that's really apparent. It's lay it on thick when we're talking about ourselves, but then when it comes to Sebastian, not so much. Hey, KJ Mac, good to see you.
Be in your shoes. Let me say that. I would not want to be in your shoes.
Oh, it's a lie. Oh, it's not us. And the
Well,
truth is no matter what any of y'all think, I didn't do anything to my son. My husband didn't do anything to my son. We love him dearly, and we are doing everything that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And his father loves him dearly as well.
mhm. I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Let me say that. I would not want to be in your shoes.
I wouldn't want anybody to have to be in my shoes, to be honest with you. It's nothing any parent should ever have to go through.
Right, right. People just have a lot of questions, just trying to make sense of everything.
Well,
So,
it's your opinion and you're entitled to it, obviously, but I can tell you that the pain that his father and I, and even my husband, are feeling right now is immeasurable, to be honest with you. And I have never in my life would I have ever dreamed that this would be a reality.
Hey.
Okay, guys, so right in the middle of Katie talking to Smiley about how she's feeling, Chris pops on, clears his throat, claps his hands, and says, "Hey." He's asserting his male dominance with two women, one of which is his wife, and the other is a sweet lady who, like all of us, just want to find Sebastian. Here is just one more clip with Smiley and J is for Justice looking back on the interview. Let's watch.
Okay, guys, before we do that, I'm just going to pop in and I wanted to read Lover Girl says, how does she know what Chris did if Chris wasn't with her that night? And see, they do that interchangeably, Lover Girl. And that's a really great point. They do like to do that interchangeably. And it's like they're covering for each other, right? Or they're trying to clean up each other's messes. And it's got to be exhausting. Like, if I think about how much they've had to do that over and over in these interviews, like, I don't know, I probably would just come clean, you know? KJ Max says, when your child is missing, if your first worry, that people are being a if your first worry is that people are being accusatory, back then it was questions and they took them as accusations. Now it's more accusatory on that basis, in my opinion. Yeah, and I mean, looking back on it, I agree, KJ Mac. It's like, you know, they're very defensive right off the bat, but you know, a lot of it has to do with the way that the other interviews were going, right? So we had already had Duchess for the missing. They went on the Holly Thompson interview. They did the Only Hands interview where they clearly were lying, saying they were very distraught and they couldn't show their faces, and so they can only show their hands. Like, we all thought that was weird, right? And that was when they were searching for Sebastian at the landfill, and they were showing zero emotion at all, right? And then Smiley's interview happens here, and it's like, I want to do the interview now, you know? So we were seeing a lot of bratty behavior from Chris and Katie, but more so from Chris, in my opinion. At first, I was just really like, what's going on here? Because she has to know, because she was the last one in the house, but he's very aggressive, you know? Like, so in the beginning, I didn't know what to think. Hey, Brenda Calvert, good to see you. More concerned about their reputation than what Sebastian is going through. I agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, well, what about Sebastian? You know, how about how he's feeling? How about where is he? You know, same question remains today.
I'm not buying it.
Well, Jay, let me ask you, how many men has he interviewed with about this case?
Right. 0.
He came into if you guys don't know how the Smiley interview, the origin of that was, there were 4 of us. We were over on Justin's panel, me, Smiley, Josh, and Justin. And he came in to chat and demanded that Smiley get off panel and go live. And because there were 3 guys and 1 woman. And he demanded
you left
who?
that out, Smiley.
He
I
demanded,
know it was 3 and 1, and he wanted you end right now, and you go live, and I'm gonna go rebut this.
he did. And it was, and Smiley did great. I mean, it was, you know, spurred the moment thing, and it was a great interview. But it made it struck the point right there. He wanted all of us to get down so he could go over and go on her panel, because he refused to have any males.
Oh my God, I didn't know there was 3 guys on panel, and he said, Smiley, go live. Wow.
I said, come up here if you want to. No, right now. Now. I'm like, okay, bye, y'all.
I mean, just the way Chris operates, his behavior is atrocious, yet he wants to complain about everyone being upset with him. Thank you so much to Trevor at Trev Time for standing up and talking about Chris's toxicity. Trevor is a real man, wise beyond his years. It really solidifies what we all think about Chris when he speaks, but also it goes to show what he's really like behind the scenes. He's always trying to convince people that he's a good guy and that he's a good dad, and the self-awareness with him is at a zero. And so everyone knows Smiley does just keep talking. I didn't cut anything out. Chris interrupts the conversation and goes right in for the kill. I absolutely love how Smiley just keeps talking to Katie. And I love that she does this because Chris rudely interrupts them. All right, let's get right back into it, the rest of the interview. Here we go.
All right, guys. So I pretty much stand by everything I said in the video. I know Trevor kind of fell off of the case or whatever, and I know it was, a whole thing, but yeah, I mean, everything that I said about Chris and Katie or about how they treated, the interview process, so to speak, on YouTube, I stand by that. So thanks, Carrie Jackson, for being here. I know this is a good time for you to come into the case, I guess, because we are going over the old interviews, and this is an interview from right when Sebastian went missing, 24 days in, I believe.
Have opinions, and there's no stone we can leave unturned. We have to think outside the box, but we all want Sebastian found.
So there's time too. Do me a favor. I got to drop out of this. I got to make a phone call real quick, and I will be back. This is one call. I don't care. I don't miss this phone call because it's my daughter.
No, you go ahead.
Come back and hang tight. Give me about 5-10 minutes. I'll be right back.
You're fine. We'll be here.
Okay, guys. So yeah, that was everybody knows now, obviously, looking back, but nobody kind of knew then. I know that I was kind of side-eyeing, like, was that really his daughter just because how it all plays out? But yeah, that was not his daughter, just for everybody to know that.
Is that good?
You're okay. Hold on.
Hello?
That's me. I'm gonna knock you off for a minute. You just come back when you're ready. Okay. So Katie,
that'll clarify that side of the question everybody's been asking. No, he does not have a restraining order from his daughter. He speaks to her, just to go ahead and clear that one out, because I know there's been a lot of talk about that as well.
he still speaks to her on the phone, as y'all see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our little girl is precious and loved, just like Sebastian.
Do you not call her y'all's daughter, since y'all call him y'all's son?
We do, and a lot of people are reading into it. It's just how we talk. Our boy, our girl, my son, my daughter, his son, his daughter. I mean, they're our children, but our children also have other parents as well. I mean, both of our children have more than just two parents.
Yeah. Is there a reason that Chris hasn't seen him since? I know it had to do with the work, but why did he say he hadn't seen Sebastian since the 1st of February?
Because that's the truth. He hadn't seen him since the beginning of February. He's working 3.5 hours away. He don't come home after work. He'd been gone since the beginning of February was the last time he was actually home. Christopher was actually home. And yes, he did see Sebastian when he come home. It's, it's just part of it. When you work away, you see each other when you can, but he doesn't. It's a lot to travel back and forth all the time. Like, that's not a trip that you can make, to and from every day by any means.
Never come home on the weekends, like when you had Sebastian or anything like that?
Well, yeah, that's why he saw him in the beginning of February, but it wasn't every weekend.
Okay.
Because he works on weekends too a lot, so he can't just come home every weekend. But when he can, he does. He comes home and sees him.
Okay, guys. So, I'm kind of making the same face as Smiley. You guys just can't see me. um, like, okay, yeah, sure. Because I mean, obviously, if he works, 3.5 hours away, that's almost 4 hours. If you have to stop and get gas, or when you get off of work or whatever. I'm assuming he worked an 8-hour day. So, I think it was better for him to stay there through the week and come home on the weekends. But it doesn't seem like he was coming home if he only saw Sebastian in the beginning of February. And that's right, Seth. To my knowledge, it was the lot lizard lady. lot female. That's hilarious, Seth. Yeah, yeah. And everybody was kind of talking about that, and then we figured it out. But Katie was very quick to be like, "Oh, see, it's his daughter, see." So like, I still don't know if that was a whole setup or not. I'm just gonna, if I'm speculating purely, I'm gonna go with yeah. Like I'll call and you can say it's your daughter. I could kind of see that meddling behavior happening, in my opinion. So, Kate is in her 30s. I think, what did we say she was? 37, 38. Seth would know. I don't keep tabs on everybody that hard, but it's the little lizard. I see the little lizards in the chat. That's funny. Yeah, because I mean, that's basically what was going on. At that time, it was kind of the back and forth, right? And yes, so Sebastian has been missing for 24 days at this point, and Katie was the last one to see him. And she's kind of telling us about Chris and hers relationship. And again, like I was saying, the back and forth, yeah, I can see that. Or say he does pick up a Saturday, so he didn't come home that weekend. But I think a lot, Seth says he doesn't care. I know, me neither. Me neither, Seth. That's why I always forget. I'll be like, I think it's like 38. But I hate to say, like, because she is, a woman, and I know we don't like to tell each other's ages and stuff. So I try not to do that. But, I was trying to figure it out uh, because of the Chronicles of Olivia interview, because Katie was acting so like meek during that interview, in my opinion. And so I was kind of, I don't know. I was curious as to how old Olivia is because she looked younger. And she's not terribly older than my daughter. So that's why I was like, okay, how old is Katie then? And you would think if you're interviewing with somebody that's a bit younger than you would, um, I don't know. And then we find out too, like I said, we know more about Katie now. I mean, obviously, we always knew that she was in the Navy, but she absolutely has a lot of training and communications. She's not as meek as she puts herself out to be. So that's why I was kind of trying to figure out. And I'm pretty sure, I think Chris is 82 like me, born in 82, that is, not 82 years old. But and don't even start with me, Scranton. Um, I don't even think about my own age. I don't either, Seth. I always got to think about it too, and I don't want to be spouting out that either. I kind of try to keep that to myself, but I was trying to figure it out just for scientific purposes. In order to figure, because I was thinking to myself when I was watching that interview back, I'm like, why is Katie acting so meek with her? Like she's younger, and you know, I was just curious then more than anything. Yeah, and that's a big one, Carrie Jackson, because the thing is with Katie, there was ultimatums given in terms of it's either him or me, and talking about Sebastian or him, and that would be an easy decision for most people. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. Sebastian every single time, but for Katie, it wasn't that way. It doesn't appear that way anyway. And there was a lot of tension there, as well as CPS reports. And then on top of that, Sebastian was seeing a counselor and we learned more of that as we went along. We didn't know that at this point, but we're going to figure out, why that had to be. So, you're not an old fart, Kiki. 9 years older, Seth? I don't think so. Miss Ann, you're so cute. She says, I'm proud to be 68. Yeah, I mean, hey, every day on this earth is a gift, right? Way to go, Miss Ann. Thank you.
Yeah.
They have a pretty good relationship.
Did he talk on the phone with Sebastian while he was at work?
He does.
Okay.
And no, they talk regularly. A lot of people have their opinions, but Sebastian's got a good bond with both dads.
Oh, there he is. Look. Where do you want to start at, Chris? Are you working now, or are you just taking off, or anything like that, like for a certain amount of time?
So is this to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So are you asking me that, or is one of your people?
No, I'm asking you that. I just wondered. Okay. Like if you, I was just wondering, like if you, like, are you, in fact, I'll turn my chat off for just a minute so I don't get
preoccupied. Don't turn your chat off. Leave it on. It's fine.
Okay.
That way you can get all these questions coming in, because like I said, I told you, I gave you my word. I'd come on your show. I would answer questions. People ask the questions, but keep in mind, like I told y'all from the very beginning, I'm brash, I'm direct, but I'm respectful, and I ask for the same in everybody else. So one thing right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, really irks me with some of these folks that want to follow these YouTube, and I'm very honest about this. Somebody says I won't talk to men. Not that I don't want to talk. Right. It's not that I don't want to talk to men. I have talked to more law enforcement men agencies in the past 24 days than I've probably ever talked to in my entire life. Same thing goes for women. So no, I don't have a problem talking to a man or talking to a woman. I appreciate everybody's assumptions or concerns, innuendos, whatever they want to be. But at the same time, I vet who I talk to. I'm not just going to open up and talk to anybody. And I will put this out there. JLR, everybody wants me to talk to this guy. Explain to me, Smiley, you probably have a better understanding of this. Explain to me why I should talk to JLR.
I just think a lot of people don't give him a chance. That's just my honest opinion.
Right. Do you know why people don't want to give this man a chance?
Well, go ahead and tell me. I mean, I want your opinion.
So I'm going to tell you my personal opinion.
Okay.
Okay. This is my personal opinion. This is nobody else's, not my wife's, not anybody else's. My personal opinion.
Okay.
So I did my.
And that's one thing that everybody's gonna learn about Chris Proudfoot is he's very long-winded, right? He explains himself before he explains himself, right? And then he mansplains himself. And then, on top of that, he's always he's like, I'm going to help you out, but he never helps us out, guys. Just so you know, he's never going to help us out, even though he says he's going to, but he never does help us out.
Due diligence, and I read up on Jonathan Lee Rich. Excuse me. I've read up on him. Not necessarily the best character in the world. When you start reading and the first thing comes up, everything that you can find on this individual. Now, I don't know him, Adam from Eve. I really don't. He don't know me, Adam from Eve. But when he opens his mouth and goes out there and starts spreading lies, and yes, lies, because unless you got hardcore evidence that I'm an abusive husband, abusive father, I've got a restraining order against me, unless you got proof, don't open your mouth. Because it's real simple. I don't have any of that. Good luck finding it. I've never lied to y'all. I've been open and honest. People don't like my answers, so people want to come back with their own assumptions. And I'm so sorry that I can't open up and give you every little piece of evidence and every little detail that we know. I am terribly sorry. it sucks because when it does and it can come out, my only question to everybody else is, when are you going to start issuing public apologies? That's not to you. That is to everybody that wants to come out and badmouth people that don't understand and don't have a clue what's going on. And I think that's pretty fair.
Their past is or what they.
All right, guys. So poor Smiley, I put that one up there for her. She's like, help me, help you, She's just trying to get the information out there, and he just comes in like, I mean, I don't even know what. It's just like it's totally uncalled for, It's totally uncalled for. Hey, Patricia. Yeah, I know. I know. It's just like it's poison and toxicity. That should have been my title tonight. Going back the throwback with Chris Proudfoot. I'm laughing because he does say evidence. He does get pervy, right? He mispronounces words, but he's like mad when he does it, and it's so funny because he thinks he's saying it correctly. He thinks he's saying it correctly, you know. Yeah, and Nina came out. Guys, that's such a tough interview. I've we reviewed it live, but that one's going to be a tough one to revisit, because he's like hitting little children in the face and, busting their lip because of the braces. And I mean, it's just like no shame though. Never wants to take accountability for his actions, just wants to get pissed off at everybody else. It's true narcissistic nature, in my opinion. um Definitely the same characteristics. I was wondering that too, like he's not slurring. He's not slurring his words, right, KJ Maxx? So I don't know, but like there's a couple of interviews, like the Queen Bee one, I could tell he was getting vulgar about it, so I think that's kind of when I could tell that he's had a little bit, but um I'm like a wrecking ball. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know what. Thanks, Seth, because I was like, I don't know what comes in like, but I'm just like, and he's clapping, and you're gonna hear him later lie. I'm not in. Well, Katie lies for him. She's like, he's not clapping, y'all, and it's like, yeah, he is. Um, Lover Girl says he said the same thing as Letitia Stout. Yes, about demanding an apology when the truth comes out. Yes, I remember getting just really bad vibes from that statement, and because of Letitia Stout, because she was telling everyone that, right? She said it on the news. She's like, you guys are going to feel horrible when this, and it's like, really? Because you sound really guilty, So exactly. Yeah, well said, well said. Um, he does. Yeah, she's not called Cruella for nothing. She's not, her reputation precedes her. Just by explaining it, I get aggravated. I know. I know. He's very triggering. He's very triggering. Yes, Mark Redwine. Yes. And I think it took like 2 years. I think it was 2 years. Either way, for that all to come out. All right, here we go. Poor Smiley. Here we go.
They say if they can help you get Sebastian's name out.
So when you and I'll be honest with you, I've heard some of yours, and the toxicity that comes out of what you guys projected about me has only toxified everybody else that puts in a lead or says, well, check out the stepfather, do this, do that, call law enforcement, check this out, do this. You take a body, every time something gets reported, a body comes away from the investigation to vet because they are required to do so. And it sucks because the same answers are the same across the board. Why they won't come out and tell in the public eye, hey, all three parents have been completely vetted. All three parents have been, questioned. All of this. Why they won't come out and say it, I understand to a point.
Okay, guys, so I just want to pop in here and say this. Chris Proudfoot, in the previous interview with Chronicles of Olivia, assured her that, the parents have been cleared. He even said that to Holly Thompson in the first interview. He's like, oh, yeah, we've fully cooperated. We've been cleared. He even said that to a New Mexico judge in order to get his daughter on the regular parenting plan, just as it was before. Um, you know, yeah, so let me be honest with you, is one big red flag, isn't it, Seth? Absolutely. Absolutely, because it's like, let me be honest with you, but they're about to not be honest with you. Um, you know, and I know, Brenda. Yeah, he's charming in the beginning though. That's the thing about Chris is because he's a narcissist, he knows how to turn it on and off, the love bombing. Oh, let me take you to the faux restaurant. Let me take you guys deep sea fishing. Let me, all of it, right? We'll go hiking, we'll do this. And then all of a sudden it all stops, right? Because they didn't do none of that when they moved to Tennessee. It was just, Sebastian sitting in his room every day. What happened to the fishing trips and all of that stuff, you know? And don't show me a picture of Chris coming back from a little less pond or something, and he's wearing waders and the whole 9 yards when he probably didn't even get in the water, in my opinion. Patricia says, well, at least those bodies are doing something. Yeah, exactly. Well, he just doesn't want anybody talking on him. Right? Because people were turning him in because of the way he's acting in this interview. Like he's acting completely insane, but he was doing that in Facebook groups back then, right? He wasn't doing it on the internet yet. This is like the big meet the real Chris Proudfoot, right? Because in the Duchess interview, he was minding his P's and Q's pretty good. He was doing the crystal clear. He was being arrogant like he is, really showed his narcissism, but not to the degree of what we're going to see here in this interview. And it just keeps going, and he does it for like 3 hours straight, right? Because this interview was long. Um, yeah, his lawyer even lied to the judge in New Mexico with that statement. Absolutely. Right? And, I can't imagine what Faith probably had to feel like being there. I mean, I know everybody, including myself, was pissed about the, Disney thing. I just don't know how you could do it. I guess I wasn't pissed. I just like don't know how you could do that. Um, but at least she wasn't in the house. Ugh, gosh. I mean, talk about creepy. Beyond creepy.
I do. But it sucks at the same time because it's extremely hurtful that me, my wife, and Seth have to live in this life, even when this is over. However it ends, we have to live this life, not everybody else.
Quite frankly, Sebastian's going to find out what everybody's been saying about his parents, and I can't even imagine how distraught he's going to be, but we have to find him.
I mean, and it sucks.
I want to just side note, he's not clapping, y'all.
He's not what?
People keep saying that he's clapping. He's not clapping. That's just background noise.
Oh, I don't hear any. Yeah, y'all.
Some people have heard they're clapping, and that's fine.
Okay, guys, I'll rewind it, but I just have to pop in here. It's even worse than Katie sticking up for him and saying he's not clapping, y'all. He's not clapping. That's just background noise. But then he says that his coworkers are listening to him spew out this bullshit and that they're all clapping for him. That's how delusional this man is, right? So I'll rewind it back, but goodness sakes.
Quite frankly, Sebastian's going to find out what everybody's been saying about his parents, and I can't even imagine how distraught he's going to be, but we have to find him.
I mean, and it sucks.
I want to just side note, he's not clapping, y'all.
He's not what?
People keep saying that he's clapping. He's not clapping. That's just background noise.
Oh, I don't hear any. Yeah, y'all.
Some people have heard they're clapping, and that's fine. Yes, I'm currently working.
Yeah, y'all.
Now, where understand people, where I work is really nobody's business. And I would hope you would respect that, because I'm not this criminal. I'm not this monster that everybody wants to believe. But I do believe in privacy and respect, and it goes both ways.
Yeah, I don't feel anybody should be going to anybody's job or anything like that. Now, a harder question, it has nothing to do with you and their questions you don't like, and whether you're in here.
No, it's not that I don't like them. I don't want anybody to start thinking that there's not questions I don't like. I've told y'all from the very beginning, I welcome all of your questions. The only thing is, because of an ongoing investigation, there are certain things that we are not and have been told by law enforcement, do not get into specifics, because it could jeopardize the investigation. People don't like that, and I am sorry. I'm speaking for myself. I'm not going to speak for my wife. I'm not going to speak for Sebastian's father, Seth, his mother, his sister, or anybody for that matter. But, I do welcome the hard questions. I do.
Well,
and I'm okay with it. And for the record, I don't have a problem talking with JLR or anybody else. Now, if you're one of these shows that are for profit, you want to talk, you go out and publicly announce it publicly that any money that you make on the show, as long as me and my wife are involved, that money gets directly posted to signs, flyers, or billboards to help find our son. I'll do it. But if it's for personal gain, it ain't happening.
Nobody is going to dictate my money ever. Like somebody just gave me $10. I spent that today in gas and going and getting flyers and doing whatever just on Sebastian. That's where I know you just said that. So
right, but that you're not monetizing on. You're utilizing it to do something to put it forward.
Right.
But those people who want to pocket money, on the other hand, I'm not about pocket. I'm not lining your pockets.
Right. No,
and
I get that.
I'm going to be very respectful, because I don't want to say it like I would normally say it, but I tell everybody.
Feel free.
Well, no, because if there are some folks that don't like cussing.
Well,
but understand something, and I'm respectful about it, because I'm being positive here. But if you don't feed me, finance me, or sleep with me, I don't owe anything to anybody.
Ew, guys, I totally forgot about that part. Ugh. What? All right, so he won't talk to Justin at Clutch and Pearls. He won't talk to anybody that's normal, right? He doesn't talk to normal people. He wants to talk to, people that'll let him be crazy on their show and be like, come on my show and act as crazy as you want, so that way I get a lot of clicks and views, and not Smiley. I'm not talking about Smiley. This is a completely different situation. But that's what, is the end goal there, right? Is to find somebody to let him have attention. And he loves it, and then he talks about people feeding him and effing and, financing and what.
At that point,
well, I think we kind of think of it there, and
See?
I don't you have to take in consideration him going to all these places, not just to help Sebastian, but all these other people. That's not free.
Right, but if I'm on his show, we're talking about my son's case. I understand. There is a situation of my son, not everybody else's. And I know he's doing his thing, and I appreciate it. What I don't appreciate is some of the stuff he does put out there that when I've asked the guy, I said, do you have proof? Do you have physical evidence that I am anything what you say? And he doesn't. So then keep my name out of your mouth. It's real simple.
And then you don't want him, like if he does this, because he's there now. So, and you don't want him to monetize on that, he's talking about your son, correct?
Yeah, if he's going to monetize, take that money, go buy flyers, go buy yard signs, put it on the billboards.
Okay, all right.
I mean, and that's fair. I'm asked. He wants to be on the show. That's fine. Then I want a public acknowledgement that you're going to donate every dollar that you make off of my son's show to finding him.
Okay.
That's fair.
One other thing, because
yes, ma'am.
Before we kind of get started, and the only reason,
I mean, guys, it's scary how he could go from that to yes, ma'am. Oh, yikes! I mean, that is some Norman Bates shit.
One reason is because fair's fair, and I
Yes.
want to say this. Listen, no matter what happened, don't jump on me yet. I'm not finished with my statement.
Oh, I'm not. You're fine.
If it was an accident, if it was he walked off, if he crawled off, if it was, no matter what it was,
right.
I feel for everybody. Okay, I do feel for his mom, and I'm going to say this. When she said, "Can y'all stop or ask Chris to stop saying that that's his son, because it's not, and it kills Seth, even though he don't say anything." I just wanted to say what you had to say about that.
Well, let's put it this way. I'm a stepdad
Mm-hmm.
to a 15-year-old young man. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I came in Sebastian's life roughly, he was like 7, 8-ish. And I helped raise him, and I still help raise him. And I have a daughter, since everybody wants to know, who lives with my ex-wife out in New Mexico. Her mother has another man that lives with her. Now, whether or not they're married, I don't know. That's not my business personally. Okay?
Yeah.
Last time I checked, they were not married. But my daughter refers to him as daddy.
Wow. So, he's like up there and he's trying to badmouth Nina, and he's like, it's none of my business, but I'm gonna still keep talking about it, right? And then Chi-Chi, Chi-Chi says, correction, CP is it's Seth's son, in my opinion, right? And I agree with that completely. And calling him son is quite a stretch, Lover Girl says. Yeah. And he's a stepfoot, because I'm like, all of the fairy tales, the evil stepmother, but yeah, no, he's a stepfoot. So all the bad stepdads out there are step feet, in my opinion, right? We call them stepfoots around here. Is this when he tells everyone that that him and KP were dating while we were still married? Yes, I believe so. I believe so, Seth. That's the thing. And sometimes you just gotta like let them keep talking so they can self-destruct, or something will slip out. Um Celine, good to see you, Celine. Wasn't he home February that had a meeting? Oh, they had a meeting in the beginning. Yep, the teachers meeting. Yeah, let's make it crystal clear. Hell will freeze. Sorry, hell will freeze over before we apologize to you or Katie. Sleep with you. Yep, sleep with you, not desperate. Right? And I'm definitely not financing him because I know he wanted to get that GoFundMe started really early, and he was upset about it, in my opinion. Um, no, Carrie Jackson. Well, yeah, this is the Mr. Chris interview, guys. So yeah, Sebastian calls him Mr. Chris. Yeah. And I think that's in this one because he really screws himself up in the first hour, guys. Like really, because how long? And I commented with this one and I added Jay and Smiley in the beginning. So yeah, yeah, like I'd even say 40 minutes, and he really, you know, stink feet, totally tropical paradise. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. He was a real asshole to Sebastian, in my opinion. He doesn't care who knows it.
Now, What does a child calling a person got to do with anything? Because as long as a child is being correctly raised and not hurt and loved, then what does it matter? He's my stepson. He does not call me dad. He does not call me father. He doesn't say it. He calls me Mr. Chris.
I will
I have
say
always
this.
left that open for him. He does not have to call me anything he does not want to, except for late for dinner, because that ain't happening.
Okay.
Even Seth calls Chris his dad, his stepdad. So his
All
mother has her
yeah,
opinions, and that's that.
and unfortunately, I hate that family disputes. And I don't care if what it is. When something in your life becomes so publicized and it's so dramatic, people find a way to turn and find ways to just make it the worst thing even worse. Just because, and it sucks. It truly sucks.
I personally think we should all be working together to find Sebastian because Sebastian is an awesome person who deserves to be home.
Sunday night, um, when you said there was a noise, what type of noise do you think that was that you heard?
I'm not honestly sure. It sounded like he was messing with stuff in his room, which was not uncommon, which is why I said, "Hey, I don't know what you're doing in there, but you're supposed to go to sleep."
Okay. So you didn't check on him at that time, but did you check on him at midnight? Did you flip the light on and look to see if he was in the bed at midnight when you got up to go to bed?
No, and because I didn't have any reason to. You know, when he was little, I used to check on him all the time, but he's older now and he's 15, and y'all can figure out why a mother may not want to necessarily pop into a teenage boy's room unexpectedly.
Seth said that.
And also, guys, we do know now that there wasn't a doorknob on Sebastian's door, so she could have, went over there and just like by the door said something. In my opinion, he would have heard her just fine. Even if you go up to the door and say, "Son, are you okay?" Whatever. And but none of that, right? None of that happened. And the first time we really hear about this noise is previously on Chronicles of Olivia. She talks about this noise, right? And then now she's saying it's not uncommon. And then I also, um, going back on this, and I think I've said it before, but when she says that she doesn't want to go in his room unexpectedly, it's kind of, insinuating that Sebastian's doing something that, a mom wouldn't want to see her son do, and da 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 da. And it's just very awkward. And I don't know why she would use that as an excuse, right? But it's also going back to what Peter Hyatt was talking about and the victim blaming, right? Making the person who is the victim in the situation, which I think Sebastian's a very strong kid. I'm not saying he's not by any means when I say that, but it's like saying, that he was in the wrong. And I'm always side-eyeing something like that, right? Because why would you paint him like that to us? And there was even worse things that were said, even said. Um, but looking back, because of the worst things that were said, I look at that as something very negative, as if she's blaming Sebastian, trying to make people think that he's doing something inappropriate, is victim blaming, in my opinion, trying to make all of us think that her son's being inappropriate. And why she would do that is to take the heat off of herself, in my opinion. So that's a whole nother can of worms. Yeah, you still check. And especially if you hear a noise, right? You'll say, "Hey, are you all right?" Or, "Hey, is everything okay? Or did you fall?" But she's going to change her story, right? Because everybody back then was saying the same thing. Like, how could you not check? Yeah, Ava. Yeah. Yeah, Brenda, I agree. Very sick, and twisted, in my opinion. Um, the meeting was around the second week of February. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think I heard it was towards the 1st of February, and correct me if I'm wrong, too, guys, but or Seth, really, correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I mean, I think Chris was home more often than he said he was, right? Even to the point of maybe he was even home that night, you know? So, um, yeah, KJ Mac, absolutely. The doorknob removal bothers me so much. Just take away a locking mechanism. It's so weird. Exactly. Yeah, or flip the lock, right? So, I mean, I know that looks kind of bad, but if somebody's locking themselves in the room or something, you can't have that either. And then as an adult, you don't lock the kid in the room. I mean, that's mommy dearest kind of shit. Yeah. Yeah, she is, Carrie. She is. And people are keen to that kind of stuff. It doesn't take a detective. It doesn't take someone with training to just have an off feeling or when the story just isn't making sense, right? You heard a noise, but you didn't go check. So you didn't go check. Well, why didn't you check, mom? Well, because my son was being inappropriate in there. Well, yeah, okay. So let's blame him and not you. And that's been, pretty standard with Chris and Katie. I call it the blame Sebastian theory. That's the theory, always blame Sebastian. Oh, he was this, he's that. And we're going to hear even more, coming up. So, yes, actually, Carrie, Seth is Sebastian's dad. We're in here with the wrench. So yeah, it was like a regular parenting plan, every other weekend kind of thing. Um, You check for medical reasons too. Absolutely, Seth, because yeah, Sebastian has a pocket of fluid on his brain as well. So, just that and hearing a thud or a noise in the room because just to let you guys know too, he has carpet in his room. It's not like, a hardwood floor where you would hear a thud, like even if somebody like stomped on the floor or something like that, or say something fell off the nightstand or whatever. You would hear it louder than a carpet would break it, the fall a little bit, cushion the fall. So yeah, I mean, what if he hit his head on his headboard or, I mean, because what if he had a bad dream or something like that and hurt himself? Just anything could happen. It's just odd. It's just odd. And then, you know, highly disturbing, Brenda, highly disturbing. Tropical Paradise says Katie has changed her story about the noise. First, she called it a thud, then a bang, then just a noise. She changed her story so much, just like Chris, they're full of poop, in my opinion. Yeah, and I mean, it has changed, right? Even the response when Nancy Grace asks her, she says, "Bubba, did you fall out of the bed?" And then he tells her, "No, ma'am," but we don't hear that here because, of course, they're talking to Nancy Grace. So Smiley's like, "Lord help me," GA64. Just noticed that. That's funny. Oh no, Smiley's like, "Help us all." Seth says there is a Texas Roadhouse video from Sunday that is the last proof of life. Yeah, as he's getting into the vehicle. Um, yeah, around 10. Yeah, see, and that's what they changed it to till I think it was a little after or before. I can't remember now in the FBI. Gosh, I was mad about that FBI thing coming out. Oh boy, I was really having a time of it. Um, hey Andrea, good to see you. Well, and they should. They should give people proof of life. I mean, at least the parents, at least give them a peace of mind. If they want to see it, let them see it. I understand it's evidence, but then again, what harm did it really do for all of us to see it? I mean, honestly, it's given us something to analyze. I have mixed feelings about it because I understand um that they don't want to screw up the integrity, but um well, just Katie and Sebastian. but there was some other characters there too, Carrie Jackson, that we've examined further, but no cigar. Hey, Faye, good to see you. All right, guys, let's go ahead here, Smiley.
When he came, that everything was in pristine condition except for his room. Like, did you check on him at midnight? Did you flip the light on and look to see if he was in the bed at midnight when you got up to go to bed?
No, and because I didn't have any reason to. You know, when he was little, I used to check on him all the time, but he's older now and he's 15, and y'all can figure out why a mother may not want to necessarily pop into a teenage boy's room unexpectedly.
Seth said that when he came, that everything was in pristine condition except for his room. Like, I know that the Ellie was there, and he said that the Ellie was there. Well, I mean, what did he mean by that? Was that just like the bed was unmade, or, you know, where you looked under things, or was it like, what did he mean by that?
Sebastian's room is always a little bit messy, but even more so with all the people coming in, all the law enforcement coming in and looking through things, me looking through things, like everybody was searching everything.
So I have a question then real quick. So
Yeah.
you're asking that question, is that because there's somebody's trying to insinuate that we tried to cover something up because the house was clean? Or
No.
and please understand why I'm asking that question, because whether my house is dirty or clean really doesn't matter. But okay, I'm just trying to understand this.
Okay, well, I'll explain it to you. It's
Okay.
because I have a son that is autistic. He's 28 now, but I know it's all different types of children on the autism spectrum, but they like stuff in order.
Right. So me asking that question back is
Mhm.
because you've got a lot of viewers. I'm not saying your viewers. So let's make that super clear so that viewers don't get that construed with anything. But there's so many people out there with their insinuations, and because you asked that question, it would not surprise me to see a comment, well, that's because they cleaned the house before the cops got there. Trust me, we have seen it all, heard it all. People are putting stuff out there that is completely obtuse from the truth, and it is ridiculous.
Or tell me about the snake. I
Okay,
understand
so right.
more.
So to answer your question about the snakes, I'll start at the beginning of the snakes. So long time ago, I actually used to breed reptiles, snakes, gargoyle, reptile, all kinds of stuff. You name it, just about reptiles. I used to breed it. Love reptiles, one of my favorite things.
Mhm.
In California, we actually had a snake. They had a bearded dragon. It died.
Mhm.
But we wound up getting a snake. Well, Sebastian liked it.
They is me and Bubba. We had a beardy.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Right.
But we had a Samantine boa. Sebastian liked the idea of having a snake. Well,
Oh, he loved that thing.
he's never had one that was his snake, his own snake.
Mhm.
Now, mind you, when I do something, I go all in. I don't half-ass do it. So, I purchased. However, I've got friends that are in the world still that are in that business, and we all chit chat and I wind up coming across. Basically, I had like about 30 snakes at one given time. All of them were ball pythons.
Mhm.
I didn't have anything retic. I didn't have anything massive, poisonous, or anything like that. Well, Sebastian was infatuated with one of the snakes that one of the breeders I deal with had. And it's the picture the snake that you see in the picture that's wrapped around his arm. That is his personal pastel ball python named Brownie. That is his personal snake. He loved them. The downside, like it got to the point with mom's work, my work, And I told Sebastian, I said, having a snake means responsibilities. You're going to clean it. You're going to have to feed it. You're going to water it. You're going to do all that stuff.
And he
If you
actually
don't,
did.
He what, Katie?
I said, and he did for a little while.
And then he stopped.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and parenting is, and I think everybody understands this. When you're a parent, you're not your kid's best friends. You're not. That's not what your job is. Your job is to be a parent. And I told Sebastian, if you don't, she's gone. And he thought I was kidding. Nope. So when I got rid of one, I got rid of them all. Now, when I say got rid of them, a friend of mine, local in Nashville, he got them because he's a good breeder, great guy. And he's like, if you ever want him, come get him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, all right, man, appreciate it. But right now, he's not doing what he's supposed to do. So right now, we're not going to just hang tight with him. So we got rid of the snakes.
So did his dad not want them, or you couldn't take them to his dad's or anything so he could see them when they're there? I just wondered.
No, his dad couldn't take them.
Well, his dad wasn't going to take 30 snakes. I mean, because 30 snakes, you're talking a big old rack, all kinds of stuff. I mean, and you've got to deal with the food, which is going to be rats and things like that. People don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow. So, I mean, that one went right over Chris's head, right? Because Smiley's like, well, what about Sebastian Snake Brownie? Like, couldn't he have gone to, Seth's or something like that? He's like, well, his dad's not going to take 30 snakes. I mean, and, I have a feeling that Sebastian was responsible for taking care of all 30 snakes. Lover girl. It's my opinion that Chris couldn't just let him have his own one snake that he could be responsible for, right? Instead, he's like, no, here's 30, let's get 30 snakes. And then once Sebastian's not taking care of them, then we'll just get rid of all of them, zero self-awareness, KJ Mack, deflection stories of good parenting. He has no awareness that this makes him look worse and worse. Well, and, it's all his words, what he's put out there, and he is trying to act like, oh, I'm a good parent and teaching responsibility, but that's not teaching him anything besides not to trust adults, right? I mean, in my opinion, and yeah, pets are disposable and they've had a lot of different animals, and Chris seems to like to go to like the exotic pets expos or whatever they call those. I don't really know. It was like a reptile convention or something that we watched online. And I mean, people are interested in exotic pets, obviously, or they wouldn't have, big conventions like that. But it's just odd because it's like, well, Chris treats everybody like their property, not like they're, a pet or a person,
to this day, I call my buddy. If Sebastian wants to go, I can call him up. We'll head over to his snake, his big old snake. He's got a building full of them, and that's where ours are. And he's like, if you want to see him, just come on over, man. Whatever, just call me up. Cool. I mean,
It wasn't like he would never get to see it again. It was just
right. Lessons have to be taught. I'm a very firm believer. It is what it is. Is it always gone forever? No, not necessarily. But you're going to earn it back. It's not just going to be handed to you.
How did you discipline him?
Sebastian in general?
Yeah.
Oh boy, here we go, guys. So also, Seth brings up a good point too. That turned out to be a lie as well. So Sebastian didn't get a chance to ever earn his snake back, right? Like it wasn't a learning experience. Like, hey, we're gonna take your snake until you can learn some responsibility. It was like never again, the 5 millionth lie, yeah, exactly, Chuchi. Brenda C says, when is this POS ever told the truth? I don't think he ever has. I really don't. I think he probably saw the chat and everyone saying, like, you know, yeah, like, good to see you, Meep. Meep says lessons have to be taught, right? And like he thinks he's doing good, but everybody's like, what do you mean you took his beloved snake? Like, because you could see how happy Sebastian was with his snake. Um, yeah, here we go, lover girl. Oh, this is good. I mean, this is a definite trigger warning. Um, the punishment must fit the crime. The evil queen of I put the evil part in. The evil queen of Stafford Court. Oh my goodness. I got a mad visual with that one. That's hilarious, Seth. Oh my gosh. What was the lesson from the doorknob? Well, and that's the thing. I mean, just no privacy, in my opinion. It was probably some outlandish punishment. And that's another thing that we see with narcissists. They have this grandiose quality, like, oh, I'm going to do the best punishment and everybody's going to think I'm the best parent. It's like, what are you talking about, Delulu? All right, here we go, guys. Here is this. Whoops. All right, here we go.
It is what it is. Is it always gone forever? No, not necessarily. But you're going to earn it back. It's not just going to be handed to you.
How did you discipline him?
Sebastian in general?
Yeah.
Well, that depends. The punishment has to fit the crime, so to speak. I'll give you an example. Cleaning his room.
Mm-hmm.
And people are going to make me sound like I'm so horrible. But I promise you, folks, you try this with your kids one time, and you won't ever have a problem with this again. So if you tell them to clean their room, and they go in there and they clean their room, well, they say, come out, well, it's clean. And you go in there and you go to check their room, and the room's not clean. Okay. Thought I told you to clean this room. You told us the room was clean, did you not? Well, yes, sir. Okay. Now I'm going to clean your room. And you know exactly what that means. I go in and I go grab a trash bag. I walk back in that bedroom. If it's on the floor and it's not supposed to be on the floor, it's not picked up and put in the right places, goes in the trash bag. If it's not important enough for you to take care of and pick up, I'll take care of it for you. Throw in the trash bag. Tie it up. I've done this to him twice. One time, Mom talked me out of it. The other time, Sebastian, here's the bag. Go put it in the trash can. And then you're going to take the trash can to the street. And after that, Sebastian, did you clean your room? Well, your mom told you to clean your room. Did you clean the room? Yes or no? Well, yes, sir. Is it clean the way it's supposed to be? Well, no, sir. Then I suggest you go back in there and clean it, or I'm coming in there in the next 10 minutes and I'm cleaning. Yes, sir. Hauls butt to that bedroom, and by God, that room is clean the way it's supposed to be. Now, it sounds crazy, but I promise you, you try it with your kids, man, your kids are going to be like, oh my God, they ain't kidding. It works amazing.
Do you feel like that he was ever a burden at all on you or your relationship, either one of you?
Was my stepson a burden in my marriage?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No. The burden, so what has always been a struggle, and anybody who's married and has, you're a step parent, okay, that struggle of being able to, yes, very much. And then you've got discipline on top of it, and, what you can do, what you can't do, with, because you've got the other parent and this parent. That's always a struggle. When you can get on the same page with each other,
mm-hmm.
and finally everybody understands it, man, it is a beautiful picture. Beautiful. Now, am I saying everything's sunshine and rainbows? No, it's not. But it ain't high tides and tsunamis either.
So if you and his mom ever argued, would Sebastian ever jump between y'all?
Like physically?
Yeah.
No.
We don't fight and yell and scream or any of that like violent type stuff. We tend to take it behind closed door in our bedroom and have a conversation because the children should never be exposed to that. That's between us, not them.
And first off, like this, I'm going to make this real clear, crystal clear. I was always raised, you never strike a woman. And
But
I have
has
taught that to Sebastian. You will never strike a woman, period.
Seth has said that Katie, and again, Katie has struck Seth. And that, again, that's a long time. I wasn't there. So,
No.
And I wasn't there either, for the record.
so maybe Katie should answer this. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe Katie should just answer
no.
this.
That, oh Lord, no. That is a whole nother thing that happened back then.
Yeah. Well, that's what brought me to my question. So I was just wondering if, Sebastian stepped in. And then I had heard at another place where Seth had said Sebastian would step in. And I didn't even know if he was talking about that or not, because I heard about that separate, that Sebastian would step in and say, don't do this to my dad or whatever. And he could be talking about something totally different.
Okay, guys, that was just insane. But
All right, so I think that's the end of what I did here. Yeah. This is just my commentary at the end. So I'll take this down really quick here and put myself somewhere decent here. There we go. So yeah, so that's the part one to Smiley's impromptu interview, right? So she wasn't really planning on having Chris Proudfoot up that evening, but he kind of demanded that she go live, and so she did, which I'm glad she did because I think she did a great job of just really getting information out and keeping calm during, Chris's rants. That's not all of what he says. Obviously, there's a couple more to go over, but we did get to see in the neighborhood that the only house that had a Sebastian is missing poster or sign up, yard sign, would have been Chris and Katie's house, which is a good start. But there didn't seem to be a whole lot of flyers being passed out or yard signs being out, not like they said there was. And I think I counted like 3 when I did the Texas Roadhouse JLR, leaving from the Texas Roadhouse and going back. Yeah, and they do say different. And Brenda, that's how we heard about, what with the ultimatums and what was being said about Sebastian, the pressure washer being used, things like that, which I mean, sure, people do insert themselves into cases and try to, kind of make things bigger than they are sometimes, but then again, sometimes they're telling the truth, right? And it's just something that, has got to be tough. Um, to live with, especially if you witness that behavior and you tried to do something and, nothing was done about it, right? Or maybe you just kind of turned the other way and said, it's not my business. And then, here's a kid missing. So it could just be really, really tough. Meep, he's running again. And as far as I know, running unopposed. So, yeah, KJ Max, same here. Foot really sets me off. My lie detector goes on overload when he yeah, blurbles. That's when he out the tails and attempts at making sentences. Well, and yeah, and he doesn't make any sense at all, and not one bit. Um, and yeah, I mean, it is comical. I do think it's funny, and I do laugh when when he mispronounces things in such a, stern way. Um, Couponing says CP threatening Seth, an officer of the law, is a crime, and there are probably over 1,000 people who heard you threaten Seth. Exactly. And I'm surprised that he's able to get away with it. I really am. You know, yeah, because I'm surprised there wasn't more people that kind of, or not kind of, but I'm surprised more people didn't report that activity, you know? But yeah, next year's election year, so 2026. But as far as I know, he's running unopposed. Yeah, and some of the neighbors didn't really even know about Sebastian, Brenda Sue. That's a really good point. Yeah, because Bobby, the neighbor, said that too, right? It was like she said that when you drive past, it didn't even look like kids were there. And, Sebastian wasn't coming out and shooting hoops and stuff like that. Like, all the kids in the neighborhood would. Their neighborhood's kind of set up nice where, they have little cul-de-sacs and stuff like that where, typically when we were growing up, I mean, I don't know. It's like you did shoot hoops in the driveway. You rode bikes around, things like that. So, but yeah, yeah, next year. But he's campaigning already. I like the blurble word. I love that. That's awesome. I feel it's a perfect word to describe the foot's manner of speaking. He makes up all kinds of words. Exactly, KJ Mac. That's hilarious. Yeah, it is a bunch of blurble, It's a bunch of babble and, oh, gibberish. Um, so I want to switch gears over to Devlin Tate's case. So Devlin Tate is still missing, right? Lake Odessa, Michigan. And we've been learning more and more about his case. And it's been a lot of the same, right? A lot of similarities with Sebastian's case. And even when I was going over with Crime Time Buzz, last night getting that video put out, I was like, wow. So yes, we need a foot break. That's why I was like, we'll do that one in parts. We'll do Smiley's interview in parts because it is intense. Even watching it back is pretty intense, in my opinion. But with, oh, here it is. Here we go. Um, with the Crime Time Buzz interview, I wanted to kind of piece it and dissect it. So the first thing that I kind of got frustrated with in Devlin's case was because I was getting emails back and forth, and I was letting people come in and chat and, kind of speak their piece here, and that's always a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with it. But I do think that the information that I was getting wasn't, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, right? So, really would like it to be that way, especially if we're talking about these missing child cases. And I just want it to be something where we can um, figure out a good, solid timeline. But it's difficult, especially when we have the minimizing behaviors and people not wanting to tell the truth. In Devlin's case, it's been difficult because Sabrina seems to be one of the people that knows more information, but she doesn't come out and talk unless it's on her Facebook page that she runs for the Find Devlin Tate Facebook group. And so it's something where, you can only gather so much information from certain sources, but the frustration also lies in the fact that, I'm getting a picture of Tamara's wall with the detailed list of what the chores are, and she could have attached that to an email and sent it to me, and I would have felt more comfortable with what she was telling me. However, I couldn't feel comfortable any longer once I'm getting the real deal, so to speak. So I just want to play this here for you guys. Raw narrative.
Tamara's calling, and that way we can get even more information.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Jay. I am the host of Crime Time Buzz, and we are sharing Devlin's story.
I've been listening.
Oh, great. Okay. So we want to bring awareness, and I just had some questions. And do you want to go ahead and say what you wanted to, is there something in particular you want to say before I start bringing questions in, or would you like me to ask questions?
Well, you can ask questions. For one, I'm his sister.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Our mama is who he was trying to get a hold of the morning he went disappeared. My brother Matt, our brother Matt, lives with our mama. Sabrina's my daughter. I was Devlin's grandma, and when my parents adopted Devlin, he became my baby brother.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
That's where all the confusion is, but I'm not his step-grandma.
Okay.
I'm his sister.
You're his sister, and
His biological grandma/sister.
okay. And did he live with you?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And how was he acting before he disappeared? Anything unusual?
No, nothing out of the ordinary. He got up and left just like he normally does.
Just his normal routine kind of stuff.
Right. And Matt did not call Devlin. Devlin called to talk to our mama.
Okay.
He called Mama's house.
Is Mama the one who lives in Yuma?
No.
Okay.
No, that's his bio mom.
Okay, so Mama lives with you guys too?
No.
Okay.
Our mom lives in Hastings.
Okay.
She has her own house over there.
But you, Sabrina, and Devlin live together?
Yeah.
Okay. And so, may I ask you a question? Do you
Okay, guys, so I just want to pop on right here and say that even when you are telling people information, and you leave something out, that's still lying. So the fact that we don't hear about Will Hartman or William Hartman, who is Sabrina's boyfriend, who is also living there with the little one, right? Come to find out that's her ex-husband's son, right? So they don't have a child in common together. But she doesn't talk about Will Hartman living there. And then I know that she came into the chat, Tamara did, and said that Devlin and Will didn't interact very much and that Will stayed in the back bedroom. Now, it's been alleged that there was scratches and bruising on Will's face after Devlin went missing. And that has all been alleged in the different Facebook groups, from the best of my knowledge, to the best of my knowledge. So with that being said, I don't know how true it is. He said it was psoriasis, which, causes me to pause because psoriasis isn't the same as having bruising or redness or scrapes or scratches or whatever on his face. But we're going to examine that more. I just saw that as a red flag and I wanted to point that out, right? Because if you're not being 100% truthful, that means that you're lying, right? But some people don't think that's, a lie. So I just kind of want to explain that too. Because I think that there's a lot of misconceptions in terms of, what hearsay is and how the family understands hearsay. And then also with many other things. I don't know if it's playing semantics or if they truly don't understand it, right? If it's, ignorance or just basically because they're trying to hide something.
happen to know if he left his phone charging at the laundromat or took it with him?
No, he didn't. He went to after he left Carl's, he went to the laundromat to charge his phone. He was charging his phone when he called Matt.
Okay, but when he disappeared, the phone wasn't still charging in the laundromat. He had taken it with him?
No, he had it with him.
And he never contacted anyone after that?
Does not have his phone.
Say that again?
Law enforcement does not have his phone. He does.
Okay, guys. So law enforcement doesn't have his phone or doesn't have the phone. He does. I just want to go back to Matt's comments here. So he says he was in a fairly good mood, but apprehensive about court. He was supposed to call mom back before he went to bed, but went missing. So very cryptic message here in the chat comments. And you know, Devlin was described by Matt in a previous interview or setting, saying that Devlin was his regular happy-go-lucky self, right, that day. Now, in my chat, he's saying he was in a fairly good mood, but apprehensive about court, right? He was nervous. He had court the very next day. And he was supposed to according to Matt, Devlin was supposed to call mama, right? Sandra back, but didn't because he went missing.
Charging in the laundromat. He had taken it with him.
No, he had it with him.
And he never.
And then here's Matt saying, no, we weren't arguing. He was in a semi-good mood, but not looking forward to court on Tuesday. Mom was going to talk to the judge about him moving back home. Right. And we know that because of the previous text messages and the video that I had showed you guys about, Sandra getting aggravated, or she was getting very upset. Rather, that was the correct wording, that she was getting upset about Devlin calling her a lot. That's just kind of one of Devlin's things. He calls everybody a lot. Even his good friend that I talked to, was feeling guilty after he went missing, because there was times where she was real tired and didn't text Devlin back, but it didn't mean that she doesn't love him or care for him. It's just, sometimes we get busy and things like that. And so, but that is one thing with Devlin. He likes to call people a lot during the day.
Contacted anyone after that?
Law enforcement does not have his phone.
Say that again?
Law enforcement does not have his phone. He does.
Devlin has the phone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Social media his phone records. And they are going over his phone records. They have his phone records. They don't have his phone. And they are calling the numbers to talk to the people whose numbers showed up on his phone. Law enforcement is.
Oh, good. Good.
And they have his social media records, so they're going through those. It's just going to be time consuming because there's so many.
So he has a presence on social media.
Yes.
Okay.
My brother says that he mapped out a map to Arizona, but I don't think Devlin would do that. I think Devlin would be too afraid to go by himself.
So that's another part to the story, right? So there's many folks in the family, from what I've heard, from what I've gathered, right, that they were all really aware that he was trying to get to, see his mother, Jessica. She's the one that lives in Yuma, Arizona. And there was plans of that in the works, right? That was Devlin's goal, was to kind of move back with her, move in with her and his little brother AJ. But that didn't happen quite like he wanted it to, because he started getting in trouble with court, or he was in trouble with the courts, right? He had court on Tuesday, so he was kind of in the middle of getting that stuff taken care of so he could move, right? But there was a lot of stuff going on. But many people say that they don't think that he would have left by himself, right? Because he's very dependent on other people. He likes other people. He likes to be around other people. So that just is out of character for Devlin, in my opinion, and from what we've gathered. Also, I know that he didn't have the means to get anywhere, right? Like to pay someone to take him or to hop on a bus or anything like that. And also, here we are 5 months, 5.5 months later, going on 6 months that Devlin's been missing. And he didn't make it to his mom's, right? And no one has found him on the way to his mom's, right? From Michigan to Yuma, Arizona is quite the walk. If he decided, hey, I'm irritated enough with everything going on because we know that there was a lot of abuse going on in the household. Maybe he just decided he was going to start walking. He wouldn't have made it very far because his bridge card was not used. So what is he fueling himself with? How is he getting something to drink? None of that is being used, right? And so that's another reason why it's not very plausible that he could have just decided to start walking, because I think they would have found him, right? And they did search the 3-mile radius around, and we heard about that a little bit more about that, right? And we looked at the SAR maps and saw that they were searching everywhere around there, as well. So, and yeah, KJ, I don't think it was anything that was, mean spirited. I think it was just more that Devlin was calling more often, than people could handle in terms of, you know, like he wanted to check in with people, but it was on his time, right? And so he was very much wanting to check in, answer right now, but somebody might be like, there was a couple of text messages that Jessica even sent me over, for an example, and she's like, okay, hon, I can't, answer right now, right? Like she's taking care of the baby, or she was going to or coming back from an appointment or something, to that effect. And she couldn't answer the phone right then. But Devlin would just keep on calling, and he liked to use the voice to, not the voice to text, but the voice, recording, like where you just record the text and talk into it. And he'd be like, what are you doing? Question mark. And then he'd send another one, what are you doing? Question mark, stuff like that. And I think it did kind of take its toll on people to where they felt, obligated to, answer him back. And so then they feel bad when they don't, right? But more so, um, it was kind of like a lot, because he was checking in with people a lot. So yeah, they will GA64. I'm getting everything together, to get over to them. Yeah, because they were more interested in kind of, any information that I could help out with, right? Because it is an active and ongoing investigation. And what, Detective Castle told me was that, they are still hopeful, right? They're actively investigating. They're following up on any tips that they get, right? They just can't share information. Hey, Joe, information with me because it's an ongoing investigation and they don't want to, um, mess with the integrity, right? They don't they want to make sure, and it's just like, we've talked about in Sebastian's case and other cases, they only get the one bite at the apple, right? So they have to make sure that they have enough evidence, to convince a jury. And it's not like us here where we can consider everything, right? I mean, certain things, depending on what kind of a lawyer they would get, um, could be thrown out or could be, off limits in court. And so they have to make sure that they have the evidence, right? But the dedication is absolutely there. And, she just, assured me that they have not forgotten and that they're looking at every avenue, um, of the case, right? Because, it's still active and ongoing. So she didn't say, hey, this is a cold case, we have no we're not getting any new leads or whatever. She didn't say that. So that made me feel really good. And, just happy that they're absolutely working on it. So yeah, you know what? Jessica was with us earlier, and I was doing the Proudfoot interview, so I don't know if she's still here or listening in her earbuds. Hey, Carla. But she was here earlier, Joe. Have you been able to verify the DV with Sandra by an LE report or court documents? I haven't. That's the thing, GA64, is my frustration with the Tates is they are always saying that they're going to send me a screenshot. I could send you this. Well, then do it, right? I could do this. I could do that. They're always saying, I'm going to do it. Well, do it, right? Please. That's what I'm asking for is receipts. Good night, Miss Ann. You know what I'm saying? Give me the receipt. Show me and I will present it. I'm not withholding information that people are giving me. Now, it did take me a little while because of the accusations that were being said, right? I wanted to make sure that I had some sort of corroboration or proof or something in order to even speculate on it, right? Because that's what we can do here is dissect it for educational, entertainment, purposes, right? I put the memes in there to make you guys laugh. I try to, lighten the situation. And let's be honest, with Chris Proudfoot, it's easy because he makes an ass out of himself. So I mean, it's not hard for me. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to examine everything and go over it to try to figure out if people are being truthful, right? But if they're like, hey, Lady Freedom, this is how it is, and then they send me a document to support it, then there we go. I'm absolutely going to talk about it, right? So, yeah. So the last time Devlin was seen on camera, according to law enforcement, they say that it's 8:21 at Carl's, right? And he used his bridge card there. And talking to Detective Castle today, I can tell that she's not the type of person that would in my opinion, from what I gathered, um, was, she's not going to tell us that he was on camera over there if he wasn't, kind of a thing, right? I didn't get a snuggle struggle vibe from her at all. Thank the Lord. I was like very relieved, So yeah, yeah. I wonder about that too, J64. I'm concerned that Devlin could have been blamed for something he did not do, not without having any receipts. Well, and I just don't know if the or else was something that was an empty threat or if it was a promise, because with the way that Tamara rolls, when I see how she rolls, it's like, you know, even when I was telling her, "Hey, I'm setting up a boundary here. You're not going to talk to me like that." She didn't apologize or say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I'm just upset," or whatever. It was just like, "Oh no, it's not a threat. It's a promise." And I'm like, "Ooh, somebody's got their big girl britches on." But I'm not intimidated, right? I think that's cowardice, right? Because I would just be trying to make somebody understand that it wasn't me and give those supporting documents, right? So those are the things that I respect. I don't respect somebody who's mean to a child and they're missing and they don't want to be held accountable, so they point fingers at other people, to me. And like I said, I gave her plenty of opportunities to send me the chore list. I even asked her about them, and I'll show you guys in that email.
Is this the brother who answered the phone and said he was going to Arizona?
Yes.
I want to be so very respectful, okay, in what I'm about to ask you. Do you feel that's reliable information?
Well, Matt's the one that put it out there that Devlin was a runaway, not a missing person. Because I reported him as a missing person.
Copy your call.
Good.
It's going to be 1855 Oak Ridge Drive, across of Walnut Lane. Caller is Sabrina Cook. She called to report her nephew missing. She's sitting on Legos and walks around Lake Odessa during the day, but is normally home around 7 o'clock. He hasn't been seen since 7 o'clock this morning. Was last heard from around 8:15. Lake Odessa. The Lake Odessa officer is aware and is looking around the village.
Because I reported him as a missing person.
Mm-hmm.
Which Matt and I disagree on a lot of things when it comes to Devlin.
Did they have a good relationship?
Oh, go ahead. Person. I don't feel that he's a runaway.
Mm-hmm. Well, if he's calling grandma every night to say goodnight, or mom,
she's not grandma, she's
mama.
His mama.
If he's calling mama every night to say goodnight, and he has routines.
Times a day.
Yeah, he has routines, right?
Yes.
And he has not been doing those routines.
Well, not since April 21st.
And how was Matt and Devlin's relationship? And no one's making any suggestions here. We're just trying to figure this out. I know you disagree on him, but
them having pissing matches.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
I always called it them having their pissing matches.
Okay.
Devlin would call, and if Matt would say something Devlin didn't like, Devlin would hang up. Well, he'd call back, and Matt would hang up on him. And he'd call back, and Matt would hang up on him again. And it went on this way. And Matt would call him, and Devlin would hang up. I called it their pissing matches.
Okay. Kelsey, he had his phone with him. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. So they had kind of besides their pissing matches, did they do stuff together? Did they hang together?
No, not really.
Okay. So would he have told Matt he was going? Do they have the kind of relationship where he would have confided into Matt and said, I'm going to Arizona?
Well, according to Matt, he did. I never heard about it.
Okay. But in your opinion, if he were going to confide in someone as to where he was going, who would that have been? Would it have been Matt?
Honestly, I don't think so. I think he would have confided in one of his other friends.
Okay. So he has friends as well. He didn't lose his phone at the trailer park. That's where it last pinged.
Right.
So he has his phone with him.
As far as we know, he does.
So from what you know, it's the clothes on his back, right? His phone, his charger. He has his charger with him, right?
Yes. And he had his wallet.
And his wallet, but he hasn't charged.
No.
Well, his phone hasn't turned on and pinged, right?
No.
So
he tried several days, different days for a couple weeks, from my understanding, and it didn't ping after the ping in the trailer park.
Sure. So the last place he was last seen at Carl's on surveillance.
Yep.
In downtown Lake Odessa, and his phone last pinged.
Okay, guys, so I just want to stop it here and just read the live chat. So this is where Matt confirms that his plan was Jessica's. He says the Michigan State Police are not technically involved as far as I know, right? Because Ionia County has jurisdiction. And then Matt tells us that usually he went to Penny's for free pizza. Penny's would give him pizza after they closed their pizza buffet down after lunch, right? So right there is a big red flag, in my opinion, that Devlin bought something to eat in the morning, but then he would have maybe headed over to Penny's, and depending on what, days that he would go over there and eat, but he didn't make it over there that day. And then we know that he didn't use his bridge card after 8:21 a.m. just to kind of keep that timeline. That is the most consistent timeline. And that's a very good question too. Carrie Jackson, or excuse me, comment. Carrie Jackson says he wouldn't be a runaway, so to speak, because he's over 18. Yeah, because people can leave, if they'd like. Christmas Swan says, makes me so mad how easy it is to get away with a crime these days just from lying. It's been happening to me 8.5 years, hearing lies about my son's case. I'm so sorry, Christmas Swan. And, I agree. It's, the taking people for their word is very difficult. And, that's why I don't usually take people for their word. And I do feel a little bit bad, especially if I find out they're being completely truthful with me. But then I also realize that, sometimes people aren't being untruthful just because they want to be lying, that maybe they're recalling it differently or something to that effect. But a lot of times, yeah, they're definitely lying. They're leaving things out on purpose. So just kind of sifting through that and trying to decipher it is like untangling a big mess of yarn, that's just completely knotted up. And you just, right when you think you got it, um another knot comes along to work. So yeah, absolutely. KJ Maxx says some people will just lie just to save their reputation. I realize that guilty knowledge can be that they didn't treat someone well before they went missing. Aggressive text, for example. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's a really important piece to bring in, because we're trying to dissect and analyze everything, right? So when we think about the fact that Devlin was, for instance, on threads.com, right? And that he had met some girls, because that's talked about in this interview. I mean, yeah, I consider that absolutely. But I also consider the fact that people aren't wanting to be truthful that are in his inner circle, and that concerns me big time, right? And his chore list was long, Meep. Yeah, and hard to remember, right? And a lot of those chores weren't chores that Devlin should have, in my opinion, been responsible for. Right, like cleaning out a litter box for a cat that isn't yours. To me, that just is setting a bad example rather than, and we saw that with Mr. Stepfoot, setting a bad example rather than setting a good one, and saying, because it's not like there was a family chore list. It was like, put it all on Devlin list, in my opinion, and I believe that children should have chores. How are you going to set them up for success in life? Yeah, couponing. I don't know how it got over to Justin's channel, but that's interesting. I'm glad that he's sharing it. That's cool. I didn't realize that. She says, I heard over at Clutch Them Pearls, Cajun Navy was going to help search for Devlin. Yeah, so I announced that, oh gosh, now it's probably been like 4 or 5 lives ago, I think, maybe. Um, but yeah, so Chuchi here in our chat sent me over the contact information for United Cajun Navy, and I sent it to Jessica, and she got a hold of them, and let's just say it's not been finalized as of right now. So I don't know who is saying it, but that's exciting. I mean, I don't care. Like, I know it's in the works. So, um, but the papers haven't been signed yet. We'll just say that. So, oh my gosh, Swan. Aw. goodness sakes. Christmas Swan says, I'm going to meet up with the person who found my son's leg bone to walk into the spot. Aw. I'm in shock still after these years. It was my son's old school teacher who found him. Oh my goodness, Christmas Swan. Well, I'm going to be sending you prayers and good vibes and hugs and love that day. When are you going to go do that? Is that going to be pretty soon here? My goodness. It is happening everywhere, Meep. It is. And even when you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, it's tough. It is tough, you know? Aw. I'm glad you're going to have that opportunity, Christmas Swan, and I know it's going to be tough for you. But you are very, very strong. Yeah, me, that's the issue here because I'm getting a bunch of resistance, right? And you'll see that I'm going to show you guys this email correspondence. And, it's like, shame on you. And I'm like, no, shame on you. You're the one making the kids sleep on the floor, and he's got to go to church to eat, and he's got to go to, beg for pizza off the buffet where people have, eaten off of and stuff. Like he's dumpster diving for recyclables, I mean, anybody that wants to pass that off as normal and say shame on me, I say shame on you right back, right? You're going to have 50 fingers pointing back at you. So, yeah, he did age out of the system. He did meet, and the judge that oversaw his case since the time he was little was the one that said that he was perfectly fine to take care of himself. So, you're going to meet Thursday. Okay, Christmas Swan. I'll be sending you prayers. Guys, add Christmas Swan to your prayer list, please. Aw. Well, we're here for you, Christmas Swan, and thank you for being here to listen about other children's cases. I really appreciate you. And if you ever want to come up here and talk or anything like that, you just email me and let me know. Because everybody's life is important, and I think that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to explain to this family is that Devlin's important, right? And he's the one that's missing. So I care about his feelings, what he's going through way, way more than I care about offending a family member.
In a trailer park where he had a former paraprofessional, that's someone who helps at school. And the last call he made was to Mama, but he didn't.
That we know of.
Okay, guys, and not to pop in right away again, but here's a text message, or excuse me, here's a live chat replay of Matt saying, yes, he was at the laundromat the whole time we talked on the phone. So I just wanted to point that out right here. Matt says it. Sorry, I can't point it out without putting the line through it. But you see it, the very last one. Yes, he was at the laundromat the whole time we talked on the phone, right? Because they were saying the Life 360 pinged him at 9:30, and Matt said they talked about 9 o'clock. I'm still going over all the correspondence.
They know of. Did he speak? After speaking to Matt, did he speak to Mama?
No.
Okay.
I don't understand why. She was just on her way to the bathroom, and in between her coming back from the bathroom, from her going to the bathroom and coming back, he was off the phone.
Is that normal?
No.
He'd wait to talk to her?
Huh?
Go ahead, I'm sorry. That wasn't normal?
No. Usually he would have waited and talked to Mama.
But that night he didn't.
No, not that morning.
Did they have one of their that morning, excuse me. Did they have one of their pissing matches?
Well, this is what I've wondered.
Okay.
Like, he didn't leave his phone charging at the laundromat. He went to the laundromat to charge his phone.
Right. No, I just asked the question, did he leave it there? So that was my question. But so he took his phone and his cord. That's huge.
Right.
Because if he's a phone kid.
Now, it was said that he had left his phone charging at the laundromat. But that wasn't the case. He had taken it with him.
Oh, it was said that. Okay. Now,
yes, it was.
And he would charge his phone because he's always on his phone, especially if he thinks he's met 3 or 4 girls, right?
Right.
He's going to be on that phone.
The house at night and be on his phone, social media and playing games. But yet he wouldn't want to do nothing around here to help out. So I told him, I said, if you can't help out around here, you can't use my electric to charge your phone.
Got it. Okay.
I thought that would teach him some responsibility, but he knew that if he didn't have to do anything around here, he could go down and charge it.
Got it. So he worked his system.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So this is the first email that I received from Tamara Host on October 5th, 2025. As you can see, she also reached out to me today, but she never sent me the list of chores that Devlin had off of her own wall at her house. Instead, she downplays and minimizes Devlin's chores, and they're chores that are her chores to do, not Devlin's. Those are not Devlin's animals. Those are not Devlin's dishes if he's not home all day. We will be discussing more of my opinions live tonight. Okay, guys, so this is... All right, so here's what I got in... Let me make sure. Okay, I'm mic'd up. Okay, so Lady Freedom, hi. I don't know who is feeding you with all of the lies, but it's pure bullshit. We got off on the wrong foot, and I do apologize to you, but I'm sick of the lies, rumors, insinuations, assumptions, etc. We have been through enough, and our goal is to find Devlin. I want you to know why you didn't even, or excuse me, I want to know why you didn't even try to reach out to any of us for answers to your questions. I didn't even know about you until a day and a half after your first episode aired. By then, you painted us as bad people that I can assure you that we are not. We had nothing to do with Devlin's disappearance, right? So this was the first email back, and we had both apologized to each other. I replied back to her about how, we did get off on the wrong foot, because I was talking about the news clip where it was said that Devlin had fetal alcohol syndrome, and we were all commenting in the chat that none of his characteristics were matching that diagnosis, and that we thought it was odd because I had heard that it wasn't true, blah, blah, blah. But me personally, I reached out to Jessica first. And the reason why I did that is because it's his mom, right? So mother to mother, I reached out to his mother. And so that's that. And this is the continuation. So Sabrina never sat in my wheelchair. We did not steal the $6,000 that we have been accused of. Mary Munch has all 6,000 of it. Christian Will's son was not living here at the time of Devlin's disappearance, and we did correct that as well. I made sure that I corrected that because there was misinformation that was floating around in the beginning, and I understand that can be frustrating. So we fixed that. And but the $6,000, so Matt was saying in the chats that it was $3,000 that was actually stolen from the $6,000. I also heard that this Mary Munch lady put in the money in order so that way Sabrina wouldn't get in trouble, and I also heard that she had to pay it back, or she did pay some of it back. And last I heard, she owed like $680 is what I heard, right? And so just the fact that she would take the money is wrong. Matt told us in the chat that the money was taken to the tune of $3,000. And when Tamara found out about it, she turned Sabrina in. How true that is, I don't know, but that's according to Matt and his statements. And I found the screenshots today, but it's a lot to kind of put in the video, all the reading and stuff like that. So we'll be doing more videos on the subject because I do find that highly suspicious. And then going off and moving to Lansing and, saying you're living your best life is just, I mean, it's something that we see, when people are guilty, in my opinion, more than we see it when they're not. So we'll just put it that way. So she goes on to say nobody ever used Devlin's EBT card but him, and we didn't take Devlin's money. He was not my cash cow, which I never used that. I never called him a cash cow at all. Government benefits aren't something that typically make anyone rich, right? $300 a month on a food card is hardly enough, in my opinion. Devlin lost his Oh, sorry, guys. I just clicked the wrong button, I think. All right, here we go. So it goes on to say, and I apologize for that. It goes on to say that Devlin lost his SSI when he turned 18 and quit school. And I think she meant to put an L there, right? So next one. And this is good information, I think, in terms of getting her side of things out. So we'll just read on. So, as far as the electric issue goes, I refuse to let Devlin charge his phone here. Yes. When he charged it, he played games or was on social media instead of just letting it charge. I tried to teach Devlin some responsibility. We wouldn't even take a, or excuse me, he wouldn't even take a trash bag uh, out to the dumpster on his way out. He didn't have many chores as we all had things we did around here. Devlin was only asked to take the trash out to the dumpster, feed and water outside animals, pick up after himself, and take care of his trash and dirty dishes. I didn't feel that was asking too much of him, but he refused to do anything. So I told him until he started helping out, he couldn't charge his phone here. He found it, or he found his way around helping by going to the laundromat or the library to charge his phone. Right? So this is her explanation. But then she doesn't send me an attachment with the chores list, right? Which you think that'd be much easier to just be like, these were his chores, you know? But again, she's minimizing, in my opinion. Now, this is the wall where Devlin's chore list was hanging up, right? In somewhere. I don't know if it was the kitchen or, where it was. But hey, Ann Brock, but nevertheless, this is it. And we see that there's certain days that Devlin has to um, do things, right? And then this is just showing today's date and what I got today about this specific subject. And that's all I brought into this particular video because we're going to continue to break them down and dissect them. So I don't know why you insist that Devlin was so mistreated here at home. He had chores that he refused to do. Yes, he slept on the floor, but it was because there weren't enough beds in my home. When it was just Devlin and I living here, he had a bedroom of his own. When he went to jail in Ionia, I didn't know if he'd be able to come back here. So Sabrina, Will, and my grandson moved in. Okay, so that was what she sent me just most recently on the subject of Devlin not being mistreated. But again, I do want to show you guys this list. So he would have to feed the animals, which none of the animals belonged to Devlin, right? He also had to take care of the garbage Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday, do the dishes Monday and Friday, and these were all chores that were supposed to be done before he was leaving, right? The litter box he had to clean up Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so it looks like the animals were being taken care of those days. He had to vacuum on Saturday, sweep on Tuesday, and it also says um, fill up the water jugs as needed, cleaning daily for 2 hours. I'm not sure what that is. It wasn't mentioned in either of the emails about the subject or any of the emails on the subject. And then a reminder about the afternoon meds, bedtime meds, and change of clothes daily. Right. So there's that. They're not Devlin's dishes if he's not home all day. We will be discussing more of my opinions live tonight, so join the conversation 11:45 p.m. Eastern. Okay, guys, that was just my commentary at the end. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything there. So that's what we're seeing in the Devlin Tait case. And we're going to, like I said, further dissect these interviews because there was a lot said in the chat, right? And it's very unclear to me, because I've given the opportunity to come up, and like I was saying earlier, I don't want to have a whole bunch of people on the panel with differing opinions, which I already know that they have differing opinions. It would be one thing if I had no idea that something was going to pop off on the panel, right? But I think I can safely say that if we had Jessica and Matt, or even Matt and Tamara up here, there might be a point in time where people are wanting to duke it out and it's going to cause more harm than good. So that's why we haven't done that. But I did, try to give them the opportunity. I do too, Meep. I do too. The filling of the water jugs. And we're going to get a little bit more into that because she does talk about the filling up the water jugs. It's been alleged that that would take place at the laundromat, but Tamara says that he had to fill them up at the house. So we're going to get a little bit more into that, more in depth with that. But I wanted to bring you guys an update on that video and kind of dissect a little bit of that, just to kind of show you guys, that I'm getting information, but it's just like one thing after another. And if you don't say it exactly how they want you to say it, or if you have an opinion on it, it's upsetting to them, even though they're not fully worried about what's happening to Devlin, right? They're too worried defending their actions and justifying how they were treating Devlin, which in my opinion was completely wrong. You set kids up for success, not failure. You don't make it harder on them when they already have the chips stacked against them, right? And it does bother me a lot that Devlin wanted to go live with his mom, but there's such a power struggle there, right? When really the judge deemed Devlin responsible for himself and said, look, this young man can take care of himself, right? Let's give him the chance to do it. Um, you know, whether that was the right decision or not is really not up to me. If I'm saying how I think and feel about it, um, I have mixed emotions on it, right? Because I think Devlin is more than capable of taking care of himself. He was surviving on his own for a very long time. Right, just surviving, going up to Carl's, bringing his recyclables, turning that in for some money. He was putting his phone number out there for odd jobs and things like that. He was trying to work. Um, he made a couple of bad decisions, but again, I think it really came down to survival. And, the role models that he had weren't the best role models, right? And that means a lot. I mean, even the friends that you keep. But I will say that the friend that I did speak to of Devlin's is a very um, smart and articulate person and a very caring and compassionate person and who was a very good friend to Devlin. And he's very, very lucky to have that friend. And so I think that speaks a lot to who Devlin is, right? As a person himself. And I think he was just kind of getting in over his head a little bit, hey, sandwich. Um, yeah, Carla, absolutely. Kids need chores. Kids need chores to prepare them, Um, Carla says kids need chores, but everyone should have equal chores. And if he can't eat there, he don't wash dishes, not his animals. He didn't care for them. Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the big point of frustration there. It's kind of like put the chores that you don't want to do on Devlin, and if he's cleaning out the cat box, say 3 times a week, then was anybody else contributing to that? Because it seems like it'd be pretty well taken care of. I mean, I've had cats, and every other day is pretty decent, right? I don't know how many cats there are. If you have more than one, then yeah, you're gonna have to, many people are gonna have to help out with that. Or some cats will fling it right out of their litter box, and be like, F you if you don't want to clean up, because cats are clean for the most parts. Cats are real clean animals. Um, they don't like going in a dirty litter box, they'll find another spot. Um, Yeah, they don't want other people talking about it so much either, I don't think they wanted to tell others what he was really being treated like. Yeah, absolutely. And it just is what it is, but they can't get upset with other people for talking about it, right? Um, so yeah, with the animals, right? Yeah, so similar sandwich. And it's just the dynamics and then the events leading up to the disappearances and Devlin not being caught on any surveillance except for Carl's is very curious to me. Now it was said, and again we're going to get more deep into that subject, but it was said to Jay on Crime Time Buzz that Devlin was picked up on the cameras when he was coming into town at the Sunoco, right? They call it Jay's or the Sunoco, and that's a gas station, but he wasn't seen on the cameras when some lady, which I don't know what to think about the lady with the dog at 2:30 because there's no one to corroborate that, and that's just something that Tamara and Sabrina have been pushing, that somebody said that they saw Devlin, right? But nobody's come forward to say, yeah, that's me, right? So it's not that it's not true. And again, I'm not saying they're lying or being malicious in that regard, because it could just be something where somebody said that, right? And it's going to stick with you, especially if that's something that you're hoping for, right? So I get that. Um, KJ Maxx says he needs more assistance. He may have been capable, but he needed oversight to ensure he had a space to live. Right. The floor and the sofa is not a space of your own. I agree, KJ Mack. And that's the thing. Like I would think that the judge would have helped him out with some resources for housing, Like, in order for him to just get his own studio apartment, and see how that worked out for him, but I know that his big goal was to go see, his mom because he was lacking something there, right? He was missing her. Um, you know, yeah, that's true. Very true, Sandwich. That's such a great point. How is he supposed to have his own life if he's taking care of everyone else's responsibilities? 100%. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for being here, Sandwich. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's tough, right? Yeah, couponing and I mean, it's just not acceptable, even though they want us to believe it's acceptable. And just because you yell and scream and you say, "Oh, well, your bark is louder than, everybody else's," it doesn't mean you're right. It just means you're loud and obnoxious for the most part. Carla says, "Lady, right? You don't clean the litter box every day. Sounds like you got all the nasty chores, yucky cats." Carla, Carla's like, "I'm a bird person," so yeah, and I mean, the litter box is like, I love cat. Like, I am a cat person and I love cats, but they're the pee is the worst, right? And the cat. Same thing with the ferret. Ferrets have like that ammonia pee, and so, and that's true. Toxoplasmosis. True, true, true. Yeah, because that and cats are carrier for that, especially if it's not cleaned regularly. Um, yeah, he could have gotten a little bit of a job to start out with, would have been good for his self-esteem. So he did have some jobs, like he worked a couple of jobs, here and there. But he was still kind of trying to probably figure out what his niche is, like what he wants to do, what he likes to do. And I know that Devlin was going to try to get his GED, is what I heard. And so with that, he could have done anything he wanted to do. Sometimes, it's tough for people to get through, school and stuff like that. But if they could find like a technical field that they're interested in, or, get a certificate, he could have really done something that he enjoyed doing. And like you said, given him the self-esteem. So yeah, Meep, thank you. Yeah. An 18-pound cat? Oh my goodness. Was it a Maine Coon? Those cats are huge. That's funny. They're bird killers, Carla. If someone is saying that they saw him, but there's no confirmation, it shouldn't be believed. I know. And that's the hardest part, because that person said that he started walking off towards the Sunoco, but then he was never caught on camera down over there. Allegedly, of course, but yeah, I don't see that either, KJ Mac. I don't believe that. I'm hesitant to believe the car story about the two guys that he might have gotten to in the, gotten in the car with, because again, that is hearsay. That's not firsthand knowledge. Like, if I was to have somebody come on the show and say, "I saw Devlin getting into the car with two men reluctantly," I would say, "Okay, wow, really?" And what made you think that he was reluctant? Was it his body language? Was his face? Was it, what was going on, right? And then they could give us a better idea of an eyewitness account, right? But here's the thing about an eyewitness account also. It's it's what the other person has perceived. And we talk about that a lot here. Because Carla and I could see Devlin getting into a car reluctantly with two men, and maybe her and I are walking our dogs together, and Devlin comes up and pets the dogs, and then all of a sudden this guy comes up in a car, right? This is all hypothetical. But both of us are going to recount that a little bit differently, right? And have some different perspective to bring to the situation as two independent eyewitnesses to an event, right? And it could be very traumatic for us to recount that, right? Because we were right there when we saw this child get in the car with somebody and he didn't look right. We knew it wasn't right. Both of us are having a weird feeling, or maybe one of us is, one of us isn't, but we definitely witnessed this happen. You would think somebody like that would come forward. Now, with that being said, when you have multiple family members bombarding you and saying you don't know what you're talking about, you're wrong, blah, 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 blah. Sometimes that makes people reluctant to want to come out and even deal with this family, right? I'm just saying. So, you know, yeah, I love cats, KJ Mac, but they can be a lot. Like, yeah. So, the little pot belly pig, Joe, that's funny. Thanks, Little Red, for being here. Not a Maine Coon, just a large framed domestic long hair, large framed. That's funny, Joe. She's just big boned. Diana Smith, I would normally agree, but Devlin didn't live there with the treatment he got. Right, he didn't really live there, right? In my opinion, Carla, that's true. Like that's well said because it's like he was basically not guaranteed a spot, right? Like it's just kind of like, yeah, you could be here, but you got to pull your weight and not even to the pull your weight. I guess that's even a wrong way to say it. It's more or less like, what have you done for me lately? Take the trash out, do this. But if he's not there to make trash, I can understand why he wouldn't want to take it out or he would feel like he's being taken advantage of. And it seems to me, and we talked about this with Sebastian as well, that both of these young men knew how to advocate for themselves. They knew how to set boundaries. They knew how to tell people what they were feeling. And if somebody was messing with them, like they were okay with saying it and saying, enough is enough. And I'm not going to put up with that. And that's a good thing because not everybody has that assertiveness. And these two boys did have that. And so I think it's really sad when it comes to what could have happened to them because they decided to stand up for themselves. It's like when you live in an abusive household and you're old enough to not be scared of the abuser anymore and you finally stand up to them, it's probably not going to go over very well, but you still take that chance because enough is enough. Right. And I think that that's where these boys were in the household. Like, enough is enough. I'm tired of you treating me this way when I don't deserve it. Right. And just the fact that they would stand up and say that or tell someone like they both did, obviously, um, they were doing the right thing. And the family members, in my opinion, were doing the wrong thing. And now they want to turn around and victim blame Devlin, and he's not here to defend himself either. Right? So it's very sad. She says, I'm almost there with my mommy. She's mean as fuck. Joe. Oh my God, that's funny. I'm sorry if you're really going through it. I'm sorry if I laughed, but that's just too funny how you said that. Oh my gosh. Um, Andrea. I needed that laugh. But yeah, I mean, it's just there's just a lot to uncover still, right? There's a lot to uncover, and I'm, taking a step back from Tamara's extremely long email and just gonna kind of, let it ride and Andrea, and then and just keep on kind of going through and trying to figure this out because in this case, we have Devlin leaving out, right? We know the last time he used this card was at Carl's 8:21 a.m. and then something happens, right? So something had to have happened that he's not on camera for the rest of the day. And again, like we were talking about earlier, it's just really hard without the eyewitnesses coming forward. If we had that, it would make me feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, say we had somebody that was super adamant and they're like, no, you don't understand. I saw Devlin and he was getting in a car. You know what I mean? Because people are very adamant when they're an eyewitness like that, you know? Especially in a small town like where Devlin's from, you know, where he's well known in the community. I mean, this is really very, very tough on the community as well. And I don't want to, you know, I don't want to overlook that, you know, so. Oh, good little red. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to our live too. That'll be really a great way to get Devlin's name out there to everyone. And then, like I said, guys, I will definitely keep you guys up to date as soon as you know I get the green light from Jessica. You know, because I kind of wanted her to be able to make that. Um, yeah, I kind of wanted her to be able to come up here and share that with us because um I think it's empowering for her to feel like she's doing something to help find her child because it's just extremely hard. And so I'm really, really proud of Jessica. I really am. And I just want to keep on supporting and you know, showing her that you know, it doesn't matter what other people have to say. And I'm not saying that she does put too much weight on that, but she's Devlin's mother. She's Devlin's mother, and she should be able to be the advocate for Devlin. He always had her as an advocate. She just didn't know what to do, you know, and that's another tragic part of Devlin's story is that he always had someone going to bat for him, but she was being stifled and smeared every chance that they got. I mean, you know, it just goes to show Matt has not been in the chat, but when his mother was up here telling her side of the story, he was in here trying to answer questions before the live even started, right? So that says a lot to me too. It's not them trying to get Devlin's story out there, it's about them trying to get ahead of the narrative. It's not about letting Jessica speak and have a chance to tell her side. It's about how can we take that from her? And so I want to empower her to continue on and be the voice for her son because that's who needs to be his voice. I cannot go ask the United Cajun Navy to help because I'm not his mom, right? So let's not steal her sunshine, right? Let's not steal that thunder, right? Let's wait till the papers are all in and then we'll have a cigar. Okay, guys. So I appreciate you all being here very, very much and listening about Devlin's case. Stay tuned. I did have to push up our ribbons because I'm gonna make the ribbons for Pigfest tomorrow night because I had kind of a wacky wrench in the week thrown in, little monkey wrench thrown into the week. So, but we're just going to keep on trucking along on that. So we will go ahead and do that tomorrow. I'll just be up here talking and making the ribbons, but you guys will see me on the live and we'll have our discussion. Um, we will go over the Smiley Stories interview as well. So it's okay, couponing, no worries. I think I kind of know what happened there, and I just want it to be known that they gotta let Jessica do it now because it wasn't true what we were being told that like she didn't want to talk and stuff like that. And you know, I don't want her to be focusing on that. I want to leave that in the past. right? I want her to be able to feel empowered to go forward and find out where her son is, because that's all she cares about, you know. Thanks, Meep. Yeah, I'm praying with you for Devlin. Guys, he just seems like such a cool kid. Like, I just feel so bad for him that he had such a hard time of it, you know? And you know, it's just sad to me, you know? It's just sad to me. Um, and I just don't want people saying that she's not his advocate, because she always has been. She just didn't know how to do it. Um, you know. Joe says, "Lady, I'm curious about the guys in the car narrative, though. Devlin's past abuse would make him more susceptible to those things." Yeah, I am. I can't. I would be lying if I didn't say that I'm not curious about it. Yeah, Joe. I see what you're saying, and you know, it could have been any two guys, right? Too. And I do find it odd that, you know, with Sabrina's boyfriend, like, don't look at him, don't look at him. I don't know when he came into the picture. I'm still trying to figure that out, because, of course, now we kind of know that that's not their son together, that she was still married, or excuse me, she was married to another person, and that's their baby together. And then this boyfriend came along fairly newly, I'm guessing. I don't know the timeline on that. But the only reason why I think it's important is because he and Sabrina were together that day out, and I don't know how much of the time out they were accounted for, right? And again, um, it's just very curious to me that on Crime Time Buzz, Tamara says that she called Devlin in as a missing person, but it was really Sabrina. And then she told me in the email today that she called him in also and spoke to dispatch. I don't know if it was after the fact. I haven't heard any further scanner scanner audio that would, confirm or deny it. So that's what she's saying. But it's curious to me, why wouldn't she say, Sabrina and I both called? So again, it's just not being 100% truthful. It is what it is, right? It's either one or the other. Were you standing there when Sabrina was making the call? That might make you feel like you were also making the call. Sure, I can see that. But that's not how it was framed, right? So it's just, one of those things. So yeah, and I think that's a really big part of it, Meep. I think that's a very big part of it that we shouldn't forget about, is that, the kids do age out of the system, and then where do they go from there? And especially if, you're kind of just being, you know, put out there like, go on, like, now do your thing. And then, Devlin's like, I don't know. And it could be, maybe he was getting frustrated. And especially when people are bullying him and he is trying to put his number out there for odd jobs and stuff like that. Um, you know, so yeah, and he's a strong, tall guy, Yeah. And I mean, he did, lose some weight. It's sad. And then, like I said too, with Devlin, it just seems like there's a lot more to the story. And like I said, I still have text messages and information to kind of present to you guys. So I'm still working on putting that together. So it's more digestible, but we were getting so much information coming our way that, it's kind of like I said, untangling it all and figuring out, okay, what's true, what's not, um, and that sort of thing. But I think we're moving in the right direction. And like I said, um, just being able to see, um, Jessica be able to feel like she's doing something is really important to me too, because I know that that was like a big frustration when I first talked to her. She's like, I've always wanted to talk. I don't know why people were spreading that around, and that was, upsetting to her. And one thing I just want to say on that is that in the true crime community, that's the first thing that we wonder, right? Like, um, who's the parents? How are they involved? Is the child in foster care? What's the situation? What's the dynamic? And when people are kind of making it up as they go, um, it could come out wrong. And so when people aren't saying, well, that's just my opinion on the situation, I'm here to tell you, when I contacted Jessica, as soon as I contacted her, she was contacting me back and saying, yeah, I was trying to get, Christina Randall to talk about it. I've been asking other YouTubers to talk about it. And, not a whole lot of people are wanting to talk about it. Right. And so, that's got to be difficult. Um, so KJ Maxx says kids like him often end up in precarious situations. In my small town, we had kids like this, and mostly people look out for them, but yeah, unscrupulous types would take advantage. Yeah, and I think he was being taken advantage of a lot, right, throughout his life. And I think he was getting kind of tired of it. KJ Mack, he was recognizing it. And, you know, yeah, I just see something a little less random here too. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Sam. Yeah, um, Joe's like, "Yeah, I know, right? I'm just brainstorming." Devlin is definitely emotionally vulnerable, in my opinion. Yeah, well, and he seems like he's just a sweet kid, right? Where he forgives easily, right? He's mad as hell, right, when somebody's being a jerk, but then, he also cares for them, right? Those are his family members. So, um, you know, it's and I don't know how much of that is present in the situation, because we asked about if Devlin does anything like that, and it was stated that he doesn't. But we don't know about other people, within his group of, family members and stuff like that. To my knowledge, I haven't heard of anything like that so far. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't anything present like that. Well, and that's it too. I think his was survival, Little Red. These kids end up in jail because they are focused, or excuse me, because they are forced out without the skills to take care of themselves. Yeah. Yeah. And, that was the thing too. I mean, what are you going to do if you're going to freeze in the middle of the night in Michigan? It's cold, if you don't have a choice. That's where I think there should have been a little bit more intervention. Although when he's 18, I guess it would be Adult Protective Services. I will say that Jessica did share with me that she was going to call Adult Protective Services, but Devlin had begged her not to do that because he didn't want anybody to get in trouble and he didn't want the backlash. Right. So, yeah, I would have been just over it too. Yeah, over their stuff. Yeah. And then he never known, and my heart hurts for him. Yeah. And I mean, it's sad because they're saying, nope, that never happened, but it's clear, that it was happening. Yeah, he had to go to the laundromat just to charge his phone. Yeah, or possibly the library, I was told also, you know. So, yeah. So, but I'll be working on more videos about Devlin. We'll get those out, and then tomorrow we'll do the ribbons and stuff like that. And I also wanted to get together and talk maybe a little bit about Pig Fest tomorrow. So I'm going to try to do a day show where we do the Smiley interview, the next part of it, and we'll review that tomorrow afternoon. So I'll be back on the day shows. It's just today was so busy, and then like I said, after I got off the phone um, with the detective and putting the video together for tonight, it was just like, whoa, lots and lots, you know. So couponing, he did drop out of school, so he did have the school program, but then when he dropped out of school, he was just working odd jobs to my knowledge. He wasn't, he wasn't doing any kinds of like technical schooling or just GED prep from my understanding. What Matt said was there's a lady across from Penny's Pizza that was helping him with that, to my knowledge. So pretty much me, pretty much. Yeah, it's very, very similar. Very, very similar, you know? So yeah, and I haven't had any updates on Emmanuel Haro either. We'll have to do some updates. Yeah, the Proudfoot reunion. And I would be lying if I didn't say I'm excited, but because I think it's going to be a good bit of awareness for Sebastian. People will hear about him and see him that didn't before. So, um, oh yes, thank you, Carla. When I moved away, he was okay. Some story you see there, mostly looked out for, but not now I'm not sure. Family had more drama and trauma, etc. And I moved away and we sold the properties to another local. Yeah, and that's what's hard to hear, you know. Oh gosh, if they have a foot parade, I am not participating. I am not participating at all. Um, no, no. Yeah, yeah. He Devlin's highly intelligent, and then especially when it comes to numbers, Joe, too. Yeah. Joe says, lady, based on the video we saw, I think Devlin would not be able to hack a job. Um, I mean, I don't know what kind of skills Devlin had. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get that he is a survivor, he's a fighter, but I don't know what kind of skills he had in terms of what kind of odd jobs was he going for? Like, was he someone who liked to fix electrical, stuff, right? Like, is he good at fixing like, is he a good mechanic? Is he, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Did he do construction? Like, was he a laborer? Things like that, because it doesn't seem like what they were putting on Devlin's plate was helping him to succeed at life skills and job skills and things like that, right? Or saying, hey Devlin, what your one job is, buddy, is for you to get your GED because that's what's going to help you advance, right? And let's focus on that. It was just more about putting responsibilities on him that weren't his. And I think if they would have really tried to figure out something that he would have been good at, um, I think he would have done so much better. I think he could have hacked a job as long as he had some help and reminders. I mean, I just see that's where I'm torn. between did the judge make the right decision for Devlin or did he fail him again? Because that same judge failed Devlin his whole life, in my opinion. Absolutely, hands down. If that's the judge that said that he could take care of himself and everything, and the whole time he's keeping Devlin with the family that's not treating him properly, I mean, and that's being kind, something's completely wrong there, in my opinion. So, yeah, get him a bed and off the floor. I know. Well, and that's the thing too. I mean, if the judge knew the situation, I don't see why he was allowing for that, especially if Devlin was getting so frustrated that he was lashing out, right? And we're going to talk more about that too, because there were some statements, and Jay asked the same question multiple times and it was answered in the same way. But then I get an email from Tamara saying that Devlin's abusive. Right? But Jay was like, "Hey," from Crime Time Buzz, she asked if, Devlin was taking mood stabilizers and he hasn't been on them for the last 3 months, then, is he gonna be aggressive towards people? And she said, "No, he'll still be friendly." And she said, "Even without taking his mood stabilizers?" And she said, "Yes." She said, "Unless somebody puts him in a bad mood." Well, that tells me that he doesn't really need the mood stabilizers then. That tells me that people bullying him, I'd be in a bad mood too if people were bullying me. I'd be in a bad mood if I went over to do a job and somebody was like, "Oh, there's no job here." Haha. Yeah, of course, that would piss anybody off. You know, I think they need to remember that Devlin's a person, right? He's not their property. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'd be a kind kid to help out at work, right? Well, and there's a lot of things that maybe he could do like a bagger at the grocery store since he liked to talk to people. Now you'd have to keep him on track, but I'm the same way. I like to talk. So good night, couponing. Thank you for being here. So, yeah, well, it wasn't just mood stabilizers either because they were talking about multiple medications, but then also in here we were talking about lithium treatments too. So, I mean, that's not just like a mood stabilizer. I think there was more to it, that'll slowly trickle out, as we go through it. Because, the truth isn't really flowing. The information is flowing in, but the truthful stuff I'm not so sure about. And I do believe he's frustrated me. I do, you know. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. Yeah, Joe says his abuse would require psychiatric meds. He was burdened. Well, and another thing too, KJ Mack, is that's one thing I'm not sure about was maybe because they can't diagnose or they won't diagnose a child with something like that. They always wait till they're older. So I don't know what kind of doctors he was really seeing, except for what they were talking about in the chat, which we'll bring that in too. But it's just so much information. So, oh gosh. Oh no, I'm not going to meet him, Carla. No, I'm going to steer clear of crystal clear, Mr. Chris. Oh gosh, no, I'll duck and cover. I mean, let's say, I hope the people we're with are tall, taller than me, so I can duck behind them. So, um, but yeah, we're gonna be getting ready for that. That'll be exciting. I'm gonna try to make a funny video. I've been saying that, but it's just, I really wanted to get Devlin's information out there and kind of piece together this timeline, which is really just looking like, Devlin left the house, went over I mean, I don't know how they would know this unless he said, "Hey, I'm heading down to Family Dollar," or if that was just his routine, which is another possibility, obviously. And that's how they would know that. So, um, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, see, that's a good idea too. Meep says my Tom Thumb hires them and they are so friendly. Plus, I'm sure it's helpful for taxes for the store. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like Devlin loved hanging out at the store over in Hastings, right? And his friend was telling me that. And so, I mean, I think that would have been a good still get to interact with people every day and get his fill of people, right? Because a lot of times kids that are on the spectrum, they're not, it's not that they're not friendly, right? But I mean, even Tamara said he'll make eye contact with people and stuff like that, which those are things that are very hard for kids on the spectrum. Sometimes they need to do the ABA therapies in order for them to be able to, accomplish that, as part of something that's, not too much, not too little, right? Because too much eye contact is bad, too little eye contact is bad. It's kind of a happy medium, but it's hard, especially if you don't get the social cues, which, can be difficult for even with the chromosome deletion as well. So, oh God, Joe, another thing I'm gonna avoid like the plague. I doubt it. I doubt it. Oh Lord, help us. Uh, he could do a labor job in construction. Yeah, very hard work. But he might have been a strong kid like that. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know, what he but finding what he liked to do would have been really good because there's all kinds of stuff. To me, I think Devlin would be good with working with people, as long as he didn't talk to them too much. That's the hard part, right? But then some people like to be talked to when they go to the grocery store. So, that would be perceived as being friendly, not annoying, Um, so yeah, I'm not sold on the treatment plan either, so yeah, and I mean everybody has their skill set, and he's very good with numbers too. Um, you know, so the town I'm from did have a school for special kids and housing and pallet company where they make pallets. Yeah, Carla, absolutely. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Well, and see, that's my big thing too. KJ Mac is the meds are often overprescribed and overused. Yeah, and they've got like all kinds of pills instead of doing the therapies, right? Because we know there's no pills for autism. So what were they treating him for? And if it was because he was angry, well, he had a right to be angry. I would be if I slept on the floor and I had to do all the chores and I had to, I mean, I'd be pissed too. No DVT or CBT if you're on SSI. America doesn't care enough. Well, and they need to when it comes to the vulnerable population. I think that should those resources. In my opinion, I think that if you are an able-bodied person, you should work. Um, and that sort of thing. But if you're a part of the vulnerable population, I think that we should take care of those people and the elderly people and the vets. That's my, but people in general deserve to have dignity and resources and help when they need it. It's not something to be on forever. It's just something to help you get through. Right? That's what it's mainly there for. So you don't, take up all the resources use them for as long as you need to, but don't take advantage, is my, stance on that. So, yeah, I feel like he was discouraged. So, tax breaks for billionaires, anything else is Antifa. Joe. Oh my goodness, you guys are so funny. All right, well, I better get off of here so I can get back on tomorrow. But I enjoyed being here with you guys again. Thank you so much. And like I said, we're going to keep you guys updated on the latest in this case. And we're going to keep trucking along with Sebastian's case. I'm excited to go to Pigfest and spread awareness there. So thank you all so much. You have a wonderful day and stay safe.